On a sunny morning, something unusual happened. I heard footsteps coming into the house. It was Kevin and Elizabeth, carrying a lot of luggage. They were breathing heavily, but when they saw me, they smiled sarcastically and said, "We're moving in with you today. If you don't like it, divorce me and leave." I was shocked, but Kevin and Elizabeth started setting up their things in the living room. Then, Stella came in, looking sorry. I quietly said, "It's okay, but are you sure about this?" Kevin looked pale when he heard me. He quickly ran out of the house. A few minutes later, he called me, yelling so loud that even Elizabeth could hear it. "Are you serious? Why didn't you say anything before?" I calmly replied, "I thought I mentioned it." After a pause, Kevin said, "Anyway, I'm coming back," and hung up suddenly. Elizabeth seemed like she might faint from Kevin's yelling. I said, "I'm actually looking forward to Kevin coming back," which made Elizabeth twitch in surprise. I added, "Get ready, the trouble's just starting. My name is Madison, and I'm 45 years old. I work in an office, and last year, I got transferred to a very busy department, so I've been working a lot. I married Kevin when I was 40. We met at a company party where Kevin was a guest, and we hit it off because we're both from the same hometown. Kevin is 5 years older than me and is very confident, which was perfect for me because I had almost given up on marriage by that time. We dated for a year and got married without a wedding ceremony because Kevin thought it was a waste of money, which made me a little sad, but looking back, I wish I had thought more about the marriage before agreeing. "Hey, you didn't do the laundry again, did you?" Kevin asked. He was what people call a henpecked husband. Before we got married, he lived alone and could do housework, but after we married, he started saying men shouldn't do housework. He refused to do it and told me, "I'll do it tonight," since I got home late from work. I replied, "Coming home to be yelled at just makes me more tired." Kevin, upset with my response, raised his eyebrows and said, "Don't talk back. Who do you think brings home the food you eat?" Honestly, I earn more money than Kevin. He knew this when we got married, and we agreed on both of us working, but after a year of marriage, it felt like he had completely forgotten that. I used to argue with him, but as Kevin kept getting angrier and shouting more, I stopped. I quickly started apologizing just to keep the peace. "I'm sorry, it was my fault." Kevin replied, "Do you really think so?" "Yes, thank you," I said. "It's because of your hard work that we can live this life." This would make Kevin happy. He'd hum a tune and then go take a bath. At first, I thought his henpecked behavior was kind of manly, but after 3 years, I was getting tired of it. I didn't choose divorce though, because my in-laws were such wonderful people. I'd go out to lunch with my mother-in-law, Mia, once a month, and my father-in-law, Ricky, would give me birthday gifts. At their house, Kevin was kind and smiled, and we had good times together. My own parents had passed away when I was young, so my in-laws were like real parents to me. That's why I hesitated to divorce Kevin. But there was one thing I couldn't stand, Elizabeth, Kevin's sister-in-law, who lived nearby. Elizabeth had divorced because of her affair and now lived alone in an apartment. When I heard about her affair, I started to dislike her. Elizabeth didn't like me either and would badmouth me in front of Kevin, who always supported her instead of reprimanding her. Elizabeth had a daughter named Stella, who lived with her ex-husband. Stella was the spitting image of Elizabeth, but she had a completely different, kind personality. Stella was a very good girl. She used to visit Elizabeth about twice a month, and each time, Elizabeth would bring Stella to our house. "Just a minute, Madison. Please feed Stella something delicious. I'm heading out," Elizabeth would say as she left. "Thanks, bye," Elizabeth would say quickly and leave without waiting for me to respond. Every time, Stella would apologize, and I couldn't ignore such a sweet girl like her. So, I ended up feeding her and taking her out to different places. "Madison, thank you, as always," Stella would say. "It's okay, did you have fun?" I'd ask. "Yes, it was really fun, can I come again?" "Of course," I'd say, smiling as Stella watched my face, shyly asking. I couldn't say no to her. Since I didn't have children of my own, I found Stella very endearing, but I also thought it wasn't good that her real mom, Elizabeth, was never around when Stella visited. So, I decided to ask Kevin, "Hey, whenever Stella comes, Elizabeth is never around, can't she spend a little more time with her?" I only wanted the best for Stella, but Kevin didn't take it that way. His face turned red with anger, and he shouted, "Elizabeth is hurt from her divorce. Unlike you, she's delicate, and yet, you blame her?" I tried to explain, "No, it's not like that. I was just wondering where she goes every time after dropping Stella off. Kevin snapped. There's no need for you to know, just shut up and listen. I didn't say anything more. Kevin wasn't listening to me at all. After a few more apologies from me, Kevin calmed down and started getting ready to leave. I'm heading out, he said. Where are you going? I asked. It's my business. You just stay quiet and say, have a nice day, Kevin yelled as he slammed the door and left. Alone in the quiet room, I cried. It was then that I seriously started to think about divorce, but I hesitated because of my in-laws. A little later, Mia, my mother-in-law, invited me to lunch, and I decided to go after a long time. Where are you going on your day off? Kevin asked. I'm going to lunch with Kevin's mom, I replied. Just don't talk about Elizabeth, Kevin warned me. Why not? I asked, not understanding what Kevin meant. Kevin shouted in frustration, can't you think a little? You're really stupid, just go already and don't talk about Elizabeth. Before I could respond, Kevin shoved me out of the house. Still upset, I went to meet Mia, and we talked over lunch. By the way, Elizabeth is coming over, right? Mia asked. Huh, you knew? I said. I thought so. Mia sighed deeply and then apologized to me. Apparently, Stella had told Mia that she was bothering me by visiting. I thought I raised her strictly, but maybe it's a reaction, Mia said. She's into nightclubs. Nightclubs? I asked, surprised. That's right, Mia replied. She seems to have a lot of debt. I was shocked by Mia's words. When Elizabeth came to our house, she always wore expensive clothes and seemed well off. When I told Mia this, Mia looked even more troubled. That child, we've cut ties with her, Madison. You should too, Mia said. Kevin's probably spoiling Elizabeth. Mia then told me something surprising. When Elizabeth's affair was exposed, Kevin kept supporting her. He even paid off her debts. Hearing this was an eye-opener for me. I'm thinking of divorcing Kevin, I told Mia. I'm sorry for the trouble, I added. That's all right, I'll support you, Mia said, holding my hand. I thought about how things might have been if my own mom were alive, and I started making plans for the divorce. I worked on the preparations carefully so Kevin wouldn't notice. Hoping to wake Kevin up to the truth, I casually mentioned Elizabeth's debts, but Kevin wouldn't listen. As I faced more of Kevin's yelling, I realized I no longer felt any love for him. With the help of my in-laws, I gathered enough evidence and learned some shocking truths. Then, the day of action came unexpectedly. On a sunny morning, which was rare these days, I heard footsteps coming into the living room. It was Kevin and Elizabeth, carrying a lot of luggage. They were out of breath, but when they saw me, they smiled sarcastically and said, "We're moving in with you starting today. If you don't like it, divorce me and leave." Ignoring my shock, Kevin and the others began spreading their things around the living room. Then, Stella, looking apologetic, followed them in. I quietly said, "It's okay, but are you sure about this?" Kevin turned pale when he heard me, then rushed out of the house. A few minutes later, he called. When I answered, he started shouting so loudly that even Elizabeth could hear it. "Are you kidding me? Why didn't you say anything before?" he yelled. "I thought I mentioned it," I said calmly. After a pause, Kevin replied, "Anyway, I'm coming back," and then hung up suddenly. Elizabeth looked like she might faint from Kevin's yelling. "I'm actually looking forward to Kevin coming back," I said. At my words, Elizabeth's shoulders tensed in surprise. "Get ready, the trouble is just beginning," I added. When Kevin returned, he immediately confronted Elizabeth. "Elizabeth, what's this about your debts? I didn't know anything about it," he asked. "It's just a small debt," Elizabeth answered, avoiding eye contact. I couldn't help but laugh at her response. Elizabeth glared at me, so I decided to respond. "Really, Elizabeth? Calling $150,000 a small debt? I couldn't call such a huge amount a small debt." Elizabeth turned to me with a face that looked like she might cry when I casually mentioned the amount, but I had no intention of letting her off easily. "The guy from the nightclub, he recently got married, right?" Elizabeth got dumped, huh? Kevin asked. "I'm not dumped," Elizabeth snapped. "Once I get this house, he'll come back to me, and when we sell this place, we'll use the money." Elizabeth had accidentally revealed her plan and looked at Kevin with a guilty expression. Kevin, confused, kept glancing back and forth between Elizabeth and me. I decided to tell Kevin the truth. "Elizabeth plans to kick me out. Then you and she will sell the house. With the money, she'll pay off her debts and fund her nightclub guy. What the hell is that? Kevin asked, stunned. He couldn't believe his sister was using him like this. Is this all a lie? Kevin asked, his voice shaking. I want to live with Stella, so let us stay, I said, trying to reason with him. I was planning to work and support both you and Stella. Hearing Kevin's words, my head ached. He couldn't support his wife, but he was planning to support his sister and niece. Elizabeth defiantly replied, you're just an ATM, big brother. Once we sell the house, I can go back to him. Won't you listen to my request? ATM? What's that about? Kevin asked, clearly confused. Enough, Elizabeth, Kevin shouted in frustration. The two of them kept yelling at each other, and it felt ugly and ridiculous. I wasn't the one who spoke up though, it was Stella. Enough, both of you, Stella said. I don't want to live together. I only came here today to say goodbye. What do you mean? Elizabeth and Kevin both asked, shocked. They stopped fighting and turned to look at Stella. Stella sighed deeply, then looked at Elizabeth with a cool, distant gaze. She started to speak slowly. Mom, you're not interested in my life, right? I think I told you before, but I'm going to study abroad starting high school, so, today I'm here to tell you goodbye. I never heard anything like that. Elizabeth raised her voice in shock. Stella looked at her with clear disdain. Because you never really listen to me, you're always chasing after men. I don't need a mom like that. Madison is my mom. What do you mean? Elizabeth glared at Stella, as if she were an enemy, but I was just as surprised. Stella walked up to me and hugged me tightly. Thank you for holding my hand, for the delicious meals, for listening, and for taking me places. You felt like a real mom. Stella's words warmed my heart. I felt so fulfilled and happy, as if everything I had done for her had finally paid off. I never had children, so I often worried if I was interacting with Stella the right way. That's why I was even more moved by her words. Stella, I too am happy to be with you. Do your best over there, I said, wiping away my tears. Stella smiled at me. Yeah, I want to call and send messages. Is that okay? Of course, I said, and we shared a laugh. Elizabeth watched us, resentfully, then, with a smug smile, as if she had an idea, she started laughing. Stella, I'll go with you. It's hard to live there alone, isn't it? Let's live together. They'll pay for our living expenses, right? I was astounded by her audacity, and Stella beside me looked just as disgusted, but Elizabeth, unaware of our reactions, continued to fantasize about life after going abroad. Mom, while Stella's at school, we can go to the beach or shopping. When she's working her part-time job, I'll take a nap. At night, I'll go out a bit. Elizabeth only talked about leisure, with no mention of work. Stella looked at her with contempt and suddenly burst into laughter. What's so funny? Elizabeth asked angrily. It's hilarious, Stella said. Why would I want to live with you? Besides, I'm going to be in a dormitory, so you can't come. Elizabeth's face turned red with anger, but before she could lash out at Stella, someone interrupted. Enough already, came a deep voice. Ricky suddenly appeared in the living room, surprising Elizabeth. Mia was with him, looking angry. I heard from Madison and came here. How long are you going to keep troubling everyone? Mia said sharply. Mom, this is a misunderstanding. Stella decided this on her own. Elizabeth tried to explain. But Mia stepped forward, raised her hand, and a loud slap echoed in the living room. The room fell silent. Elizabeth was the first to speak. That's awful. You hit me. Mia retorted. You deserve it. I should have stepped in sooner. I left you alone after all the trouble you caused for Madison. We've arranged for you to stay with a relative. We're leaving now, Mia said. Elizabeth turned pale and looked to Kevin for help, but he avoided her gaze. Feeling betrayed, Elizabeth was led out of the house by Ricky. Kevin looked at me, pale-faced, and said, Hey, I'm sorry, I should have listened to Madison more. I'll listen from now on. Mia retorted, surprised by Kevin's casual words. What a naive thought. She continued, emotionlessly, I told you before not to involve yourself with Elizabeth, especially when you're married, but you didn't listen. Now, the only choice left is divorce. Kevin looked at me, shocked, and I smiled at him, feeling slightly relieved. I then prepared to drop the bombshell. Let's get a divorce. I'll also claim alimony for your verbal abuse, and maybe for infidelity too, I said. Kevin stumbled over his words, trying to act innocent. Infidelity? What are you talking about? I felt pathetic for ever thinking such a man could be reliable. I pulled out several photos from my bag and showed them to Kevin. Do you recognize this woman? Did you take secret photos? If someone is doing something they shouldn't, isn't it their fault? Kevin, seemingly out of excuses, stayed silent. Looking frustrated, I laid out some documents and had him sign them. After everything was finalized, I smiled at him and said, "Thank you for everything. Even though I made more money, did all the housework, and handled everything else, it was me who took care of everything, so take care, and don't forget the payments." Kevin had nothing more to say. I said goodbye to Mia and left our house. I arranged to pick up my belongings later and stayed at a nearby hotel. After dropping Stella off at her home, I finally had a clean room, a soft bed, and a space without anyone to complain. That's when I truly regained my freedom after 5 years. The next day, I promptly filed for divorce and became truly free. Mia called to apologize and assured me that Kevin would deposit the alimony within a week, which he did in full. Since Kevin had little savings left from giving money to Elizabeth, the in-laws had paid the alimony in advance. They told me not to worry, as they would get Kevin to repay it in full. Kevin lost his job and ended up living with a different relative. He was sent to a farm where he worked from dawn to dusk without any holidays. Escape was impossible without a car, and the mountain roads were too much for Kevin, who had never driven them. I thought it was tough, but I didn't feel sorry for him. Kevin's affair partner was a club girl who only saw him as a paying customer. She didn't even know he was married and apologized when I met her. She even returned the branded bags Kevin had given her, which I sold and used the money for lunches with Stella. Elizabeth was sent to live with relatives near the sea, working from sunrise every day. Her once well-maintained hair and nails were now a mess. She had fallen behind on child support payments for Stella, and the relatives had to cover it, so now she worked unpaid. I could only hope she might change her ways. Stella, on the other hand, successfully went abroad and now lives in an overseas dormitory. She's gotten close to a girl she shares a room with, and I get messages about their daily adventures. She's planning to bring her friend for a visit during a long break, and I've agreed to host them for sightseeing. As for me, my days are still busy, but without the marriage, my chores are halved, and there's no one to complain. It's a different kind of busy, but much more fulfilling. When I dropped Stella off, I met her dad, Elizabeth's ex-husband, for the first time. He's a nice guy, and we exchanged contacts. We kept in touch about Stella and eventually started going out together. I found peace just being with him, something I never had with Kevin. Even I'm a bit surprised by these feelings. Stella is thrilled about me seeing him. Recently, during a video call, she asked, "When are you getting remarried?" I told her I'm not thinking about it yet, but if he feels the same, maybe someday. To me, Stella is like a true daughter, and she feels the same. Becoming a real family would make me incredibly happy. With that hope in my heart, I had to work today as well.
The letter trembled in my hands, its crisp edges cutting into my fingertips. Full scholarship to Wharton Business School. The words blurred as tears welled up, but I blinked them back. I couldn't let anyone see me cry, not here in the store, not anywhere. Another day, another story. But first, I'd love to know where my listeners are from. Comment your location below. And hey, if you're enjoying these tales, consider becoming a permanent part of our family. Now, where were we? I'm Hannah, and this moment should have been the happiest of my life. Instead, I was hiding in the stockroom of Carter's General Store, surrounded by towers of inventory that had become my prison for the past year. Hannah, where are you? These boxes won't unpack themselves. My father's voice boomed through the store, making me jump. I shoved the letter into my back pocket, my heart pounding against my ribs. Coming. I grabbed a random box, pretending I'd been working all along. The scholarship letter burned against my skin, a secret that could either save me or destroy everything. My father stood at the register, arms crossed, watching as Connor, my younger brother, charmed another customer with his rehearsed smile. See how natural he is with people? Pride dripped from every word. Born for this business. I bit my tongue until I tasted copper. Connor was 15, barely passing his classes, but he was the golden child, the chosen heir. I set the box down harder than necessary, making my father's head snap toward me. Careful with the merchandise, he snapped. Those are crystal wine glasses, not your teenage attitude. The bell above the door chimed, and my grandmother Eleanor walked in, her silver hair gleaming in the fluorescent lights. My chest loosened slightly. She was the only one who saw me, really saw me. "Hannah, darling," she called out, ignoring my father's presence. "Ready for our Saturday business lesson?" Before I could answer, my father stepped between us. "Actually, Mother, Hannah needs to finish inventory today. We're short-staffed." "Richard," Eleanor's voice carried that steel edge I'd always admired. "Our lessons are non-negotiable." "You agreed." I watched their silent battle of wills, counting the seconds until one of them broke. My father looked away first. He always did. "Fine, but be back in 2 hours. We have a shipment coming in." Eleanor linked her arm through mine, leading me toward the door. As we passed Connor, he didn't even look up from his phone. Why should he? He'd never had to fight for anything in his life. Now, Eleanor said once we were seated in her office above the store, "Tell me what's bothering you. Your aura's all wrong today." I pulled out the crumpled letter, smoothing it on her mahogany desk. Her eyes widened as she read, then filled with tears. "Oh, Hannah, this is wonderful. A full scholarship to Wharton? Your parents must be thrilled." My laugh came out bitter and hollow. "I haven't told them." "What's the point? They'll just say no, like they always do." "Nonsense. This is your future we're talking about. Your parents will understand. Like they understood when I wanted to take that business course last summer, or when I suggested updating our inventory system." I stood up, pacing the room. "They don't want me to succeed, Grandma. They want me to stay here, working for free, watching Connor inherit everything I've worked for." Eleanor's face hardened. "Then we'll make them understand. Tonight, I'll host a family dinner to celebrate." "No, please. 7 o'clock. No arguments." She reached for her phone. "It's time your parents remembered who built this business from nothing. And who really has the final say." I left her office with dread coiling in my stomach. Tonight would change everything, but not in the way my grandmother imagined. Because what none of them knew was that I discovered something else last week, something that would tear our family apart. The scholarship wasn't just my ticket to freedom anymore. It was my weapon. And tonight, I'd finally use it. Grandmother's dining room felt like a courtroom. The mahogany table stretched between us like a barrier, my parents on one side, Eleanor at the head, and me, trapped between worlds. The scholarship letter lay in the center, pristine white against dark wood. Absolutely not. My father's wine glass hit the table hard enough to slosh red onto the white tablecloth. "This isn't up for discussion." "Richard," Eleanor's voice cut through the tension. "Your daughter has earned a full scholarship to one of the most prestigious business schools in the country. This is an achievement worth celebrating." My mother's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her glass. "The store needs her here. Family comes first, Eleanor. You taught us that." "I taught you about ambition," Eleanor shot back. "About building something from nothing. That's exactly what Hannah wants to do." I stared at the growing wine stain on the tablecloth, watching it spread like the poison in our family. Connor's empty chair mocked us. He was at soccer practice, naturally excused from this family crisis. "Hannah knows her place," my father said, as if I weren't even there. "The store is her inheritance." "My inheritance?" The words burst out before I could stop them. "That's funny, considering how you parade Connor around as your successor. How you let him skip work whenever he wants while I'm trapped there 60 hours a week without pay." "Without pay?" Eleanor's head snapped toward my father. "Richard, you're not paying her?" My father's face reddened. "She's learning the business." "By stocking shelves and running the register?" I pushed back my chair, standing. "By watching Connor get praised for showing up once a week while I miss every school event, every social gathering. Everything that makes me feel human." "Sit down," my mother hissed. "You're embarrassing yourself." "No, Mother. I'm embarrassing you. There's a difference." I pulled out my phone, bringing up the photo I'd been saving. Just like there's a difference between managing the store and stealing from it. The room went deadly quiet. My father's face drained of color as I showed Eleanor the photo, a screenshot of doctored inventory records I'd discovered last week. "What is this?" Eleanor's voice was barely a whisper. Ask them where the money from the Wilson account went, I said. Or the Peterson supply order. Or the... My father lunged across the table, grabbing for my phone. Wine glasses toppled. My mother screamed. But Eleanor was faster, snatching the phone from my hand before he could reach it. Richard, she said, her voice trembling as she scrolled through the evidence. What have you done? Nothing that concerns you, Mother. The store is mine now. The store, Eleanor stood slowly, belongs to me. Or have you forgotten who still holds the deed? My mother burst into tears, right on cue. We had expenses. Connor's private coaching, the country club membership. Stop. Eleanor's command froze us all. She turned to me, her eyes bright with unshed tears. How long have you known? A week. I found the discrepancies while updating the inventory sheets. The ones Dad said were a waste of time. My father's chair scraped back. This is ridiculous. Hannah's making up stories because she's jealous of her brother. Because she can't accept her role. Your daughter, Eleanor Cudden, has just shown more business acumen in 5 minutes than you have in 20 years. She'll make an excellent CEO after she graduates from Wharton. What? 3 voices spoke at once. You're going to college, Hannah. And when you graduate, you'll take over as CEO of Carter's General Store. Eleanor's smile was razor-sharp. Your father and mother will work under you, at reduced salaries, until they've repaid every penny they've stolen. Unless, of course, they'd prefer I involve the authorities. My parents' faces showed everything: rage, fear, defeat. But I felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction. Just a hollow space where family should have been. I'll see you at work tomorrow, I said, gathering my things. Early shift, right? Don't worry, I'll do the inventory. I'm good at finding things people try to hide. I left them there with their spilled wine and shattered illusions. Tomorrow would bring consequences, but tonight I had won. And it felt nothing like victory. The smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries wrapped around me like a shield as I tied my apron behind the counter at Megan's cafe. 3 weeks of secret morning shifts had taught me more about business than years at my family store. Here, my opinions mattered. My ideas were heard. And most importantly, I got paid. You're getting good at those lattes, Megan said, watching me create a perfect leaf pattern in the foam. Much better than serving hardware and paint samples, right? I froze, nearly spilling the drink. How did you? Small town, Hannah. Your family store is practically an institution. She smiled, but her eyes were serious. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Though I'm curious why you're hiding this from them. The bell above the door chimed before I could answer. My blood turned to ice as Connor walked in, his soccer team in tow. Our eyes met. His widened in recognition, then narrowed with calculation. In that moment, my 15-year-old brother looked exactly like our father. Well, he drawled, approaching the counter. This is interesting. What can I get you? I kept my voice professional, praying he'd play along. Does Dad know his perfect daughter is moonlighting at a coffee shop? His teammates snickered. I felt Megan tense beside me. Connor. Relax, he cut me off, pulling out his phone. I'm not going to tell him. Yet. But I might need some favors. My hands clenched around the counter. That's called blackmail. That's called family. He mimicked our father's tone perfectly. Speaking of which, Dad's looking for last month's inventory records. The ones you're supposedly updating. The ones that proved their theft. I'd hidden them in Eleanor's office, but if my father was looking for them... I have to go, I told Megan, already untying my apron. Family emergency. Family emergency or family prison? Connor called after me. Better hurry, sis. Dad's in quite a mood today. I ran the 6 blocks to the store, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the front windows, I could see my father in Eleanor's office, rifling through her desk. The bell betrayed my entrance. He looked up, his face darkening when he saw me. Where are they? He descended the stairs 2 at a time. The inventory records. Where did you hide them? I don't know what you're talking about. But my voice shook, giving me away. He grabbed my arm, pulling me into the stockroom. You think you're clever, don't you? Playing detective, running to your grandmother with lies. They're not lies. I yanked free. I saw the numbers. I saw what you and Mom did with Connor's college fund, with the store's profits. You saw nothing. His fist slammed into a shelf, sending paint cans crashing. You're a child playing at business. Your brother understands loyalty. Family. You? You're just like your grandmother, too ambitious for your own good. Is that why you're stealing from her? The words hung between us like poison. His face transformed, becoming someone I didn't recognize. Listen carefully, he said, his voice deadly quiet. You will find those records and destroy them. You will apologize to your mother for upsetting her. And you will never, never speak of this again. Or I'll make sure Eleanor learns about your little coffee shop job. How you've been lying to everyone, abandoning your duties here. Connor told you. Connor understands hierarchy. Position. Something you never learned. He straightened his tie, becoming the polished store manager again. You have until closing to make this right. Don't disappoint me again. He left me there, surrounded by spilled paint and shattered illusions. My phone buzzed, a text from Connor. Sorry, sis. But family comes first. I sank to the floor, paint seeping into my jeans. The records were safe in Eleanor's home office, not here. But for how long? And what would happen when my father realized that? My phone buzzed again. Megan, whatever's happening, you have options. Come back when you can. We'll figure it out. Options. I stared at the message, an idea forming. My parents thought they had me trapped, but they'd forgotten one thing. I was Eleanor Carter's granddaughter. And she hadn't built an empire by playing nice. I stood up, paint dripping from my clothes like war paint. Time to show them what real family loyalty looked like. The cafe's morning rush kept me too busy to think, which was exactly what I needed. 2 weeks had passed since Connor's betrayal, and I'd managed to stay one step ahead of my father's search for the evidence. But my time was running out. Your grandmother's here again, Megan whispered as she passed behind me. Third time this week. Eleanor sat in her usual corner booth, pretending to read the newspaper while watching me work. She hadn't mentioned my secret job, but her presence spoke volumes. I brought her usual Earl Grey, setting it down carefully. Is this a coincidence or an intervention? Can't a grandmother enjoy quality tea? She folded her paper, fixing me with that penetrating stare. Though I must say, your latte art is impressive. Almost as impressive as your ability to be in 2 places at once. My hands trembled slightly. I can explain. No need. She pulled out a manila envelope. I think these explain enough. Inside were copies of every doctored record I'd found, plus dozens more going back years. My father's theft ran deeper than I'd imagined. How did you? I built this business, Hannah. Did you really think I wouldn't have my own copies? She sipped her tea. The question is, why didn't you come to me directly? Before I could answer, Jason burst through the door, his face pale. Hannah, you need to see this. He thrust his phone at me. On screen was our local news website. Carter's General Store announces major expansion. Teenage son to head new location. There's more, Jason said quietly. Check the business filing. I scrolled down, my vision blurring as I read. My father had created a new corporation, transferring store assets into Connor's name. He was systematically draining the original business, Eleanor's business, into a new entity she couldn't touch. Well, Eleanor's voice cut through my shock. It seems your father's gotten creative with his theft. I have to stop this. I started untying my apron, but Eleanor's hand caught mine. No, you need to think strategically. Richard's making his move because he's desperate. He knows we have evidence of his earlier fraud. This is his attempt to secure Connor's future before it all falls apart. At your expense, I said. And mine. Actually, Megan joined our huddle, holding up her phone at everyone's expense. Your father just posted the store's new work schedule. You're down for 60 hours next week, all closing shifts. Unpaid, I assume. He's trying to force me out, I realized. Make it impossible for me to keep working here. Or study for finals, Jason added. Or graduate. Eleanor's face hardened. He's not just stealing money anymore. He's stealing your future. What do I do? The words came out smaller than I intended. You fight, Megan said firmly. starting with this. She handed me an envelope. I was saving it for the right moment. Inside was a job offer, assistant manager position at the cafe, full-time, with benefits and tuition assistance for business classes at the local college. I can't accept this, I whispered. The store will survive without you, Eleanor cut in. The question is, will you survive with it? My phone buzzed, a text from Connor. Dad's looking for you. He knows about the cafe. Better come home now or things get worse. Things are already worse, I said, showing them the message. They have been for a long time. Eleanor stood, gathering her things. Then perhaps it's time to make them better. The question is, are you ready for what that means? I looked around, at Megan's encouraging smile, Jason's worried face, the cafe that had become more home than my house ever was. Then at Eleanor, who'd built an empire from nothing and was watching it be stolen piece by piece. Yes, I said, my voice stronger. I'm ready. Good. Eleanor's smile was sharp as broken glass. Because your father isn't the only one who can play the legal system. Shall we show him how it's really done? I took off my apron for the last time, folding it carefully. The war for Carter's general store was about to begin, and this time I was choosing my side. The graduation gown felt like armor as I stood in front of my bedroom mirror. Downstairs, I could hear my parents hosting their annual graduation party, not for me, but for the family's social circle. My own celebration would come later, they'd said, after I'd earned it through summer work at the store. My phone buzzed with Eleanor's text, "Everything's ready. Are you sure about this?" Before I could respond, Connor appeared in my doorway. Dad wants you downstairs. Now. Since when are you his messenger? Since he found out about your secret bank account. Connor's face was uncharacteristically serious. Hannah, he's really angry. Maybe you should just what? Give up? Let him take everything. I pulled out my desk drawer, grabbing the USB drive containing copies of all the evidence. Like you did? I didn't have a choice. We always have a choice, Connor. You just made the easy one. Downstairs, the party chatter died as I descended. My father stood at the bottom of the stairs, holding my laptop, the one I'd bought with my cafe earnings. Care to explain this? He turned the screen toward me, showing my bank statements. Or how about these? He held up printed emails between Eleanor and her lawyers. My mother hurried the last guests out, her perfect hostess smile cracking. Richard, perhaps we should discuss this privately. No. His voice cut through the room. I want witnesses for this. I want everyone to see exactly what kind of daughter we raised. I reached the bottom step, acutely aware of Connor watching from above, of Jason hovering near the front door, ready with his car if I needed escape. You want witnesses? I kept my voice steady. Fine. Let's talk about the Wilson account. The Peterson orders. The new corporation you created in Connor's name. The color drained from his face. You ungrateful. Or maybe we should discuss this. I pulled out my phone, playing the recording I'd made last week, his voice clearly discussing how to hide assets from Eleanor's auditors. My mother lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. Don't bother. It's already backed up. Everything is. You're bluffing, my father said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. Am I? Check your email. Eleanor's lawyers should have sent the preliminary audit findings by now. He grabbed his phone, scrolling frantically. With each swipe, his face grew darker. You're done here, he finally said, his voice deadly quiet. Pack your things. You have 30 minutes. Richard. My mother's perfect mask cracked completely. You can't. She's been working with Mother behind our backs, Linda. Planning to destroy everything we've built. Everything you stole, you mean. The words felt like fire leaving my mouth. Everything you took from Eleanor, from the store, from me. From you. He laughed, harsh and hollow. What could I possibly have taken from you? My childhood. My choices. My future. I pulled out my graduation cords, valedictorian, honor society, business club president. Everything I earned while you were grooming Connor to steal Eleanor's legacy. Connor's sharp intake of breath from the stairs was the only sound in the room. You have 29 minutes left, my father said. Use them wisely. I turned to the stairs, but Connor blocked my path. "Wait," he said, his voice small. "Is it true? About the new corporation? Ask him yourself." I pushed past him, heading to my room. Ask him what he's been teaching you about family loyalty. 28 minutes later, I stood on the front lawn with 2 suitcases and my laptop. Jason's car idled at the curb, and Eleanor waited in her Mercedes behind him. "Hannah," Connor's voice made me turn. He stood in the doorway, holding something. "You forgot this." He tossed me the USB drive I'd left on my desk, the one containing all the evidence. "I didn't forget it," I said. "I left it for you. Time to make your choice, little brother." I got into Eleanor's car without looking back. In the rearview mirror, I watched Connor stare at the drive in his hand, our father's shadow falling across him from inside. Sometimes burning bridges lights the way forward. I just hoped Connor would see the light before it was too late. Eleanor's study felt like a war room, with papers spread across her antique desk and lawyers' business cards scattered like ammunition. 3 days after being thrown out, I sat across from her, watching as she reviewed the final audit results. $500,000. She set down the report, her hands trembling slightly. My own son stole $500,000. A knock at the door made us both jump. Connor stood there, pale and determined. I found something else. He placed a laptop on the desk, our father's personal computer. The password was my birthday. His laugh was hollow. Guess he never thought I'd use it against him. Eleanor opened a folder labeled New Ventures. Her sharp intake of breath drew me closer. "He's selling the store," I whispered, scanning the documents. "He's already found a buyer." "Not just selling it," Connor's voice cracked. "Liquidating it. Everything Grandma built, he's breaking it apart for quick cash. The papers are ready to sign tomorrow." My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Your parents just went into the store. They're clearing out the safe." Now, Eleanor stood, suddenly every inch the business titan who'd built an empire. "We move now." 20 minutes later, we pulled into the store's parking lot. My parents' car sat alone under the security light, casting long shadows. "Remember," Eleanor said, "let me do the talking." "Hannah, you." The store's front window exploded outward, showering glass across the pavement. Through the broken window, I saw flames licking up the wooden shelves. "No!" Eleanor's scream pierced the night as we ran toward the building. Inside, smoke filled the air, and through it, I saw my father feeding files into the fire, my mother frantically emptying the safe. "Stop." My voice was lost in the crackling flames. "You're destroying everything." It was already destroyed. My father turned, his face illuminated by the fire. "The moment you chose her over family. This is my family's legacy." Eleanor stepped forward, but the flames blocked her path. "Everything I built." "You built nothing." He threw another stack of papers into the fire. "I kept this business running while you played mentor to her. I made the hard choices. I deserved." "You deserved prison." Connor's voice cut through the smoke. He held up his phone, recording everything. "And now you'll get it." Sirens wailed in the distance. My mother grabbed her purse, stumbling toward the back door. "Richard, we have to go." "It's over, Dad," I said, watching our family's history burn. "Just stop." For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, regret, maybe, or recognition. Then he smiled, cold and final. "You want to run this business so badly? Try rebuilding it from ashes." He threw the last files into the flames and ran, leaving us to watch everything burn. The firefighters arrived minutes later, but it was too late. The store, Eleanor's legacy, my inheritance, our family's foundation, was gone. Hours later, we sat in Eleanor's kitchen, covered in soot and defeat. My parents had vanished, taking whatever money they'd managed to grab. The police were looking, but we all knew they were long gone. "The insurance won't cover it," Eleanor said quietly. "Richard canceled the policy last month." Connor stared at his phone, still displaying the video of our father's confession. "At least we can prove it was arson." "And then what?" I looked at my hands, black with ash. "The store is gone. The inventory, the records, everything." "Not everything." Eleanor pulled out a singed folder, the store's original business plan, written in her own hand decades ago. We still have this. And we have something your father never understood. What's that? Each other. She spread the burned papers on the table. The question is, are you ready to rebuild? Not for revenge anymore, but for ourselves. I touched the charred edge of her business plan, feeling the weight of legacy and loss. The store had been my prison, then my battleground. Now it was ashes. But maybe, just maybe, ashes were the perfect foundation for something new. Where do we start? Eleanor smiled, and for the first time that night, hope flickered stronger than the flames had. We start with the truth. All of it. Together. The police found my parents in a motel 3 states away. They'd managed to grab nearly $50,000 in cash before torching the store. But their escape plan ended at a casino where my father lost most of it in a desperate bid to win enough for a fresh start. Now, 2 weeks later, I stood in the courthouse hallway, watching them being led in for arraignment. Connor's video evidence and Eleanor's financial records had built an airtight case. Ready? Eleanor squeezed my hand. Connor stood on my other side, his usual cockiness replaced by something harder, more determined. My father's eyes locked onto us as they passed. Still playing happy family? His smile was razor sharp. Wait until you see what rebuilding that store really costs. Richard. My mother's mascara was perfect, even in handcuffs. Don't what? Tell them about the second set of books? The ones Eleanor's father kept. He laughed as the bailiff pulled him along. Ask her where the store's startup money really came from. Eleanor's hand tightened on mine. Connor stepped forward, but I held him back. He's lying, Eleanor said, but her voice shook. He's trying to. To what? I turned to face her. What's he talking about? Before she could answer, the prosecutor approached. They're offering a deal. Full restitution, minimal jail time, if they reveal everything about the store's financial history. All of it. Going back to the beginning. Eleanor's face went ash-white. No. Grandma? Connor's voice cracked. What are you telling us? She pulled us into an empty conference room, closing the door. Your grandfather. He wasn't always careful about where he got his loans. When I took over, I cleaned everything up, made it legitimate. But the original money was dirty. The pieces clicked into place. Dad knew. That's why he felt entitled to steal. I built something good from something broken. Eleanor's composure cracked. Everything I taught you, Hannah, about business, about integrity, it wasn't lies. It was redemption. A knock at the door made us jump. The prosecutor again. They're ready to talk. All of you should hear this. In the small interview room, my parents sat across from us, still in handcuffs. My father's smile had grown wider. Tell them, Mother. Or shall I? Eleanor stood. I'll tell them myself. She faced Connor and me. Yes, your grandfather borrowed money from criminals. Yes, I knew when I took over. But everything since then, every dollar, every decision, has been clean. I spent 30 years making it right. By hiding the truth? My father's laugh was bitter. By pretending you were better than everyone else? I took what I deserved. You took from your children. Eleanor's voice cracked like a whip. From your family. Family? My mother finally spoke. You want to talk about family? Tell them about Richard's brother. The one who disappeared after threatening to expose everything. The room went silent. Connor grabbed my hand under the table. My uncle, I whispered. The one you said died in an accident? Eleanor sank into her chair. He was going to destroy everything I'd built. The legitimate business, the community trust, your futures. I didn't. I never meant. What did you do? Connor's voice was barely audible. Nothing. Eleanor's eyes were desperate. He took the money I offered and disappeared. I haven't heard from him since. My father stood suddenly, making his chains rattle. There it is. The great Eleanor Carter's true legacy. Buying silence, burying secrets, all while preaching about integrity. I looked around the room, at my grandmother's guilt, my parents' spite, Connor's confusion. Everything I thought I knew about right and wrong, about justice and revenge, blurred. Stop. My voice cut through the tension. All of you. This ends now. I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. A video call connected, revealing a familiar yet strange face. "Hello, Richard." My uncle smiled sadly. "Eleanor, it's been a long time." The truth about legacy, I realized, watching their faces crumble, isn't what we inherit. It's what we choose to do with it. And I was done letting the past poison our future. The new Carter's General Store rose from the ashes with clean lines and fresh paint, but I kept one charred beam exposed near the entrance. Some scars deserve to be seen. "Ready." Connor adjusted his name tag, assistant manager glinting under the morning sun. Through the windows, I could see Eleanor arranging the last display, her silver hair catching the light. Almost. I pulled an envelope from my desk. Inside was my acceptance letter to Wharton's Weekend Master of Business Administration program, not quite the full scholarship from before, but a different kind of victory. Beside it lay the plea agreement my parents had signed yesterday, trading full restitution for reduced sentences. The bell chimed. Uncle David walked in, looking more like family now than when he'd been just a ghost story. "The suppliers are all on board. Clean contracts, transparent terms. And the old debts?" I had to ask, though I already knew. "Paid in full." He smiled sadly. "Your grandmother made things right, Hannah." In her own way. Eleanor joined us, carrying a leather-bound ledger I'd never seen before. "I found this in the safe deposit box. My father's original business plan." She traced the worn cover. "Along with this." She handed me a yellowed envelope, my name written in her elegant script. The date showed it was written 17 years ago, the day I was born. "I always knew," she said softly. "Even then, I saw something in you. The strength to break cycles, to build something better." I opened the letter, reading words written by a younger Eleanor to a baby she hoped would understand. To my granddaughter. "Legacy isn't what we leave behind. It's what we choose to carry forward. Choose wisely." The morning light streamed through windows that had once been bars, illuminating the store we'd rebuilt together. Not just the building, but the foundation beneath it: trust, truth, redemption. "First customers in 10 minutes, Connor announced, flipping the sign to open. "Think we're ready?" I looked around, at Uncle David arranging local artisans work where stolen inventory once sat. At Eleanor teaching Connor the proper way to balance a till, at the community bulletin board advertising local businesses, including Megan's Cafe. The security cameras my father had disabled now worked perfectly. The books were digitized, transparent, open to monthly audits. Every employee, family or not, earned fair wages and respect. "Wait." Eleanor pulled out an old brass key. "One last thing." She led us to the register, unlocking a drawer I'd never seen opened. Inside lay a single coin, the first dollar she'd ever earned. I think she pressed it into my palm. "This belongs to you now." The metal was warm, weighted with history both dark and light. I could lock it away, let it become another family secret. Or, I walked to the front window and placed it on display, right next to the charred beam. A reminder that legacy isn't just what we inherit, but what we choose to transform. The bell chimed again. Jason walked in, carrying coffee for everyone, a morning tradition he'd started when he helped us rebuild. Look who I found outside. Behind him stood a young girl, maybe 16, clutching a resume. I heard you were hiring? My parents want me to work for their company, but I was hoping. I recognized that look, the desperate need to write your own story. Connor did too, judging by his small nod. "Come on in," I said, gesturing to my office. "Let's talk about your future." Eleanor's letter crinkled in my pocket as I walked, its final words echoing. "Choose wisely." We all had. And those choices had built something stronger than revenge, more lasting than justice. They'd built a future worth inheriting. The store's old sign still hung outside, but below it we'd added new words. Carter's General Store, building legacy, one choice at a time. It wasn't perfect. But then again, the best stories never are.
The letter sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Plain white envelope, no return address, just my name written in precise, angular strokes that reminded me of a doctor's prescription. I'd found it under my door an hour ago, and since then, I'd done everything possible to avoid opening it, reorganized my protein powders. Wiped down every surface twice, even alphabetized my spice rack. Hello, wonderful listeners. Quick interaction time, where in the world did this story find you? Comment below. New here? Make it official with a subscribe. Let's get started. My name is Adelaide, and until this moment, I thought I had my life figured out. Successful fitness studio, loving fiancé, wedding plans underway. But something about that envelope made my stomach twist. I picked it up, running my finger along the sealed edge. The paper was expensive, thick, the kind Margaret, my future mother-in-law, used for her passive-aggressive thank you notes. But this wasn't from Margaret. The handwriting was too controlled, too deliberate. My phone buzzed. Ryan's face lit up the screen. Hey, babe. Mom wants to know if we're still on for Sunday brunch. Sure, I said, staring at the envelope. Listen, did you send me something today? What do you mean? A letter. Someone slipped it under our door. Silence stretched between us. Then, no, why would I send you a letter when we live together? My fingers trembled as I finally tore open the envelope. The paper inside was the same quality, filled with neat rows of typed text. Addie? You still there? I'll call you back. I hung up before he could protest and started reading. Dear Adelaide Thompson, I believe you deserve to know the truth about your fiancé. Ryan has been seeing someone else for the past 3 months. They meet every Thursday at 2 p.m. at the Riverside Hotel, room 412. The letter continued with details, specific dates, times, even what he wore. My legs gave out, and I sank onto our kitchen stool, the one Ryan had insisted on buying because it matched the granite countertops. My phone buzzed again. Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. The letter ended with, if you don't believe me, check his credit card statements. Look for charges from the hotel's restaurant, the river's edge. You deserve better than lies. It wasn't signed. I pulled up our shared banking app. Ryan and I had merged accounts 6 months ago, another step toward our future together. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transactions. There it was, the river's edge, multiple Thursday charges, always around the same time. No, I whispered to our empty apartment. No, no, no. The front door opened, and Ryan's keys clattered in the dish by the entrance. Addie? Why aren't you answering your phone? I was worried. He stopped when he saw me, his face shifting from concern to confusion. What's wrong? I held up the letter. Want to explain this? He crossed the room, reaching for the paper. I pulled it back. Tell me first. Is it true? Is what true? Addie, you're scaring me. The Riverside Hotel. Room 412. Thursdays at 2 p.m. Ring any bells? The color drained from his face. Not denial. Not confusion. Just guilt, written across every feature I thought I knew by heart. It's not, I can explain. I stood up so quickly the stool crashed behind me. Don't. Just. Don't. Please, let me. Who is she? He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I used to find endearing. Now it made me want to scream. It's complicated. I laughed, a harsh sound that didn't seem like it could have come from my throat. Complicated? That's what you're going with? Mom was right, he muttered, more to himself than to me. This isn't going to work. Those words hit harder than any confession could have. Your mother? What does Margaret have to do with this? He wouldn't meet my eyes. In that moment, I realized this went deeper than just an affair. Something bigger was at play, something that had Margaret's fingerprints all over it. I grabbed my keys and phone, leaving the letter on the counter between us like a declaration of war. Where are you going? He called after me. To find out the truth, I said, not looking back. All of it. Margaret's pristine dining room felt like a courtroom, and I was on trial. The china clinked too loudly against the plates as we passed dishes around the Sunday brunch table. 3 days had passed since the letter, and Ryan still hadn't given me a real explanation about the hotel. Adelaide, dear, Margaret's voice cut through the silence. I heard your little fitness studio is struggling with the new chain gym opening nearby. I set down my fork. Actually, we've had record sign-ups this quarter. Oh. She raised an eyebrow, cutting her quiche into precise triangles. How surprising. I always thought people preferred more established businesses. Caleb cleared his throat. Mom, Addie's studio has amazing reviews. Half my band members train there. Yes, well, musicians aren't exactly known for their discerning taste, are they? Margaret smiled, all teeth. No offense, darling. Ryan stayed silent, pushing food around his plate. The engagement ring on my finger felt heavier with each passing minute. Speaking of taste, Margaret continued, I ran into Claire Davidson at the country club yesterday. You remember her, Ryan? She's doing remarkable things with her interior design firm. Very sophisticated clientele. I watched Ryan's shoulders tense. Mom, please. What? I'm simply making conversation. Claire asked about you, actually. She mentioned running into you recently. My hand froze midway to my water glass. Claire Davidson. Thursday afternoons. Room 412. Isn't it time we cleared the table? Caleb stood abruptly, gathering plates. Sit down, Caleb, Margaret commanded. We're not finished here. She turned to me, her eyes glittering. Adelaide, have you given any more thought to what we discussed about postponing the wedding? A long engagement can be so beneficial for really getting to know someone's true nature. That's enough. I pushed back from the table. Ryan, a word? Without waiting for his response, I walked into Margaret's pristine kitchen. The sound of his footsteps behind me was hesitant, guilty. Claire Davidson? My voice came out steadier than I felt. That's who you've been meeting? Addie, it's not. If you say it's not what you think one more time, I swear. She's helping with a project, he interrupted. A surprise. For the wedding. I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make him flinch. Right. In a hotel room. On Thursday afternoons. Everything okay, in here? Caleb appeared in the doorway, his expression concerned. Mom's working herself up to one of her speeches about family values. Stay out of this, Caleb, Ryan snapped. No, I said, let him stay. Someone in this family should witness what honesty looks like. I turned back to Ryan. Claire Davidson. The same Claire your mother tried to set you up with 3 years ago? The one she called the perfect addition to the Mitchell family? You're twisting everything, Ryan protested. Mom has nothing to do with. Oh, please. I yanked off my engagement ring. Your mother has everything to do with everything. She probably picked out the hotel herself. The ring clattered on the marble counter. Behind us, Margaret's heels clicked on the hard wood. Is everything all right? I heard raised voices. Perfectly fine, I said, turning to face her. We were just discussing your interior design consultation services. Margaret's face remained smooth, but something flickered in her eyes. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. Room 412 ring any bells? Or should I ask Claire? Adelaide, Ryan grabbed my arm. Stop this. I jerked away from him. Your mother's been orchestrating this whole thing, hasn't she? The meetings, the letter. What letter? Caleb asked. Margaret's composure cracked, just slightly. Ryan, perhaps it's time Adelaide went home. She's clearly upset. I'm leaving, I announced, but first, let me be clear, whatever game you're playing, Margaret, I'm going to figure it out. And when I do, you'll wish you'd never started this. Is that a threat? Margaret's voice turned ice cold. No, I smiled, channeling her earlier sweetness. Just a promise between family members. Isn't that what you always wanted? I walked out, leaving the ring behind. As I reached my car, Caleb caught up with me. Addie, wait. What letter were you talking about? I studied his face, searching for any sign of deception. Why don't you ask your mother? I'm sure she has a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything. You know she's not going to stop, right? Neither am I replied, starting my car. Neither am I. Sam's laptop screen glowed in the darkness of my living room, illuminating strings of text messages I shouldn't have been reading. But desperate times called for desperate measures, and my best friend's tech skills had finally cracked Margaret's password-protected cloud storage. Jesus, Sam whispered, scrolling through the messages. Your mother-in-law-to-be is something else. The timestamps went back months. Margaret to an unknown number, Claire's perfect for this. She still carries a torch for Ryan, and she knows how to be discreet. My fingers dug into the couch cushions. Another message, Adelaide's too common for our family. Ryan needs someone who understands our world. Once he sees what he's missing. Keep going, I said, even as my stomach churned. Sam clicked through more messages. Here's something from last week, the letter should arrive today. Once she finds out about the hotel meetings, everything will fall into place. The room spun. I'd suspected Margaret's involvement, but seeing it laid out so coldly made me physically ill. There's more, Sam said. Something about Margaret's sister? Elizabeth? My phone buzzed, Caleb calling. I ignored it. Wait, Sam straightened. Holy shit. Look at this email draft. The screen showed an unsent message to Elizabeth. You destroyed my marriage with your lies 25 years ago. Now you're trying to poison Ryan against me through that girl? I won't let another gold digger tear apart my family. I need to confront her, I said, standing. Addie, it's midnight. Perfect timing. I grabbed my keys. The truth comes out in the dark, right? Sam caught my arm. At least let me drive. You're shaking. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to Margaret's Victorian mansion. Lights blazed from the first-floor windows, she was still awake. Want me to come with? Sam asked. No. This needs to be between us. Margaret opened the door before I could knock, wearing a silk robe like she'd been expecting company. Adelaide? What an unexpected surprise. Cut the act. I pushed past her into the foyer. I know about the letter. The hotel meetings. Claire. All of it. She closed the door with deliberate slowness. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Should we call your sister Elizabeth and ask her opinion? Margaret's composure cracked. Fear flashed across her face before being replaced by cold fury. You've been going through my private correspondence? Like you went through my life? Orchestrating meetings between Ryan and Claire? Trying to destroy my relationship? I was protecting my son. From what? Love? Happiness? From making the same mistake his father made. Her voice echoed off the high ceilings. Marrying beneath him, letting some woman destroy everything we built. Mom? We both turned. Ryan stood in the doorway to the study, papers scattered at his feet. Behind him, Caleb looked like he might be sick. How long have you been there? Margaret's voice trembled. Long enough, Ryan said. The letter. The hotel meetings. That was all you? I did it for you, Margaret stepped toward him. Claire comes from our world. She understands. Stop. Ryan's face had gone ash white. Just stop. I watched them, mother and son, standing in the wreckage of their carefully constructed lies. Part of me wanted to savor Margaret's exposure, but another part recognized something broken in her eyes, something that mirrored my own pain. Your sister, I said quietly. Elizabeth. What did she really do? Margaret's shoulders sagged. She told my husband the truth, that I came from nothing. That my family's wealth, our social standing. It was all fabricated. He left me for someone from his own circle. She laughed bitterly. Someone more suitable. So you decided to do the same thing to me? Make history repeat itself? I decided to protect my son from what I went through. By becoming exactly what destroyed you. I shook my head. Congratulations, Margaret. You've become the very thing you hated. I turned to leave, but Ryan caught my hand. Addie, wait. Please. No, I pulled away. Your mother didn't force you to meet Claire. Didn't make you lie to me. That was all you. The truth hung between us like shattered glass, beautiful, dangerous, and impossible to put back together. The box of Ryan's belongings sat by our front door, 3 years of life together reduced to photo frames and forgotten t-shirts. He stood in our living room, keys dangling from his fingers, while I methodically removed every trace of him from our shared apartment. I need time, he said, watching me delete his profile from our Netflix account. To figure things out. Figure what out exactly? I kept my eyes on the screen. Whether you prefer your mother's choice of wife over me? That's not fair. Neither is meeting Claire behind my back. He sighed, that familiar sound of frustration I'd heard so often lately. Nothing happened with Claire. Because you chose not to, or because you hadn't gotten around to it yet? The silence that followed was answer enough. My phone buzzed, Caleb calling again. Third time today. I declined the call. Addie, Ryan stepped closer. Mom was wrong about everything, but she was right about one thing. We rushed into this engagement. I finally looked at him. Rushed? We've been together 3 years. And in those 3 years, have you ever really tried to understand my family's expectations? The laugh that escaped me was hollow. You mean your mother's expectations? The same mother who fabricated her entire background to trap your father? Don't talk about her like that. Why not? It's the truth. Or does that make you uncomfortable, knowing you're just like her, living a lie? He flinched. I never lied about loving you. No, you just lied about everything else. I pulled off the necklace he'd given me for our second anniversary. Here. Give it to Claire. I'm sure she'll appreciate the family heirloom more than this common girl. Stop it. He grabbed my wrist, gentle but firm. This isn't you. You're better than petty jabs. I jerked away. Maybe I'm tired of being better. Maybe I'm tired of being the bigger person while your mother schemes and you. You just let it happen. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Caleb, need to talk. It's about Mom and Claire. Important. Take your things, I said, turning away from Ryan. I'll have the rest shipped to your mother's house. I'm not moving in with Mom. No? Then where are you going? He hesitated. Claire offered her guest room. The words hit like a physical blow. Get out. Addie. Get out. The vase of flowers he'd brought last week, a guilty peace offering, shattered against the wall inches from his head. We both stood frozen, watching water drip down the wallpaper. I never meant to hurt you, he whispered. Funny how that keeps happening anyway. After he left, I sank to the floor among the scattered roses and broken glass. My phone buzzed again, Caleb. What? I answered, too tired for politeness. Claire's pregnant. The world tilted sideways. What? 3 months along. Mom's been helping her hide it while they figured out how to handle you. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Addie. I just found out. 3 months. The same time the hotel meeting started. Does Ryan know? Mom's telling him tonight. I couldn't let you be blindsided again. I ended the call without responding. 3 months. While I'd been planning our wedding, picking out color schemes Ryan had been. My mother answered on the first ring. Adelaide? Can I come stay with you for a while? Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong? Everything. I looked around our apartment, my apartment now, at all the carefully constructed pieces of a future that never existed. But I think that's about to change. I packed a bag, leaving the engagement ring on the counter next to the broken vase. Let Ryan clean up this mess. I was done being the one who always picked up the pieces. As I drove away, another text came through from Caleb. Whatever you're planning, I want to help. Mom and Ryan need to face what they've done. I smiled for the first time in days. Maybe it was time to stop being the bigger person. Maybe it was time to show the Mitchells exactly what this common girl could do. The pregnancy test lay face down on my mother's bathroom counter, a 5-minute timer ticking away on my phone. 2 weeks since I'd left Ryan, since Claire's pregnancy bombshell, and now this, the universe's cruel joke. Mom knocked softly. Adelaide? Do you want me to come in? Not yet. My voice sounded strange, distant. Like it belonged to someone else. The timer beeped. I flipped the test over, staring at the 2 pink lines that would change everything. Again. When I opened the door, Mom took one look at my face and pulled me into her arms. No questions, no platitudes. Just the familiar scent of her perfume and the steady beat of her heart against my cheek. What am I going to do? I whispered. Whatever you decide, you won't do it alone. My phone buzzed. Caleb. He'd been feeding me information about Ryan and Claire's situation, each update twisting the knife deeper. I ignored the call. I can't tell him, I said. Not after everything. Mom guided me to the kitchen, putting on the kettle, her solution to every crisis. Because you're afraid of what he'll do, or what Margaret will do. Both. Neither. I pressed my hands against my temples. Claire's already giving them the perfect Mitchell air. What's Margaret going to do when she finds out there's another baby? One from the wrong side of the tracks? This isn't about Margaret. Everything is about Margaret. The words exploded out of me. She orchestrated all of this, the letter, Claire, the hotel meetings. And now you're carrying her grandchild. The kettle whistled, its scream matching the chaos in my head. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Sam. Ryan's at your apartment. Looking for you. I need to go, I stood abruptly. I left something important at the apartment. Mom caught my arm. Adelaide, don't do anything rash. I'm just getting some papers. No, you're going to confront him. I know that look. I pulled away. He deserves to know what he's chosen. What he's losing. The drive to my apartment felt like moving through fog. Ryan's car sat in the parking lot, next to a familiar Mercedes, Margaret's. Of course she was here. I found them in my living room, Margaret directing movers while Ryan packed boxes. Well, this is cozy, I said from the doorway. They both spun around. Ryan looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. Margaret, naturally, was immaculate. Adelaide, she stepped forward, all concern and false warmth. We tried calling. Save it. I moved past her to my desk, pulling out the folder I'd come for. Just get your things and go. Addie, please, Ryan's voice cracked. Can we talk? About what? Claire's pregnancy? Or how your mother manipulated everything? Margaret's mask slipped. That's hardly fair. Fair? I laughed, the sound brittle. Like it was fair to send that letter? To orchestrate meetings between Ryan and Claire? I did what was necessary for my family. Your family? My hand instinctively moved to my stomach before I caught myself. You destroyed your family. And for what? So Claire could give you a socially acceptable grandchild? Ryan went pale. What are you talking about? The words rose in my throat. I'm pregnant too. Your mother's getting 2 grandchildren, not just one. But looking at them, standing there among the ruins of our life together, I swallowed them back. Nothing, I said finally. It doesn't matter anymore. I grabbed my folder and turned to leave, but Margaret's voice stopped me. I know you're pregnant, Adelaide. The world tilted. I turned slowly. What? She smiled, that practiced society smile that never reached her eyes. I have friends at every medical office in town. Did you really think you could keep it secret? Ryan staggered back like he'd been hit. You are. We are. Congratulations, Margaret said smoothly. Now we can discuss how to handle this situation properly. For everyone's sake. In that moment, looking at her calculated expression, I finally understood. This wasn't just about control or social status. This was about power, the power to shape lives, to determine futures. And she just played her last card. I smiled back, matching her tone exactly. You're right, Margaret. Let's discuss how to handle this. All of it. The Mitchell family's private dining room felt like a courtroom, with Margaret presiding from the head of the table. Ryan sat to her right, Claire to her left, while Caleb hovered near the window, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. I remained standing, my hands pressed flat against the polished mahogany to keep them from shaking. Well, Margaret smiled, shall we discuss the arrangements? Arrangements? My voice stayed steady, surprising even me. For both children, of course. The Mitchell heirs should be raised together, don't you think? We have plenty of room here at the estate. Ryan's head snapped up. Mother. It's the only sensible solution, Margaret continued. Claire's already agreed to move in. Haven't you, dear? Claire nodded, one hand protectively over her stomach. She wouldn't meet my eyes. And what makes you think I'd agree to that? I asked. Margaret's smile tightened. Because you want what's best for your child. A proper upbringing, the right connections, the Mitchell name. Like you had? The words sliced through the air. Or wait, that was all fabricated, wasn't it? Adelaide, Ryan warned. No, let's talk about it. About how Margaret invented her whole background to trap your father. About how she's doing the same thing now, orchestrating this whole situation. That's enough. Margaret's mask cracked. You want to talk about traps? What do you call getting pregnant just as Ryan was finally seeing sense? Mom. Caleb stepped forward, but Margaret waved him off. We all know what this is, a desperate attempt to hold on to a family you were never meant to be part of. I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign. You think I want to be part of this family? After everything you've done? What I've done is protect my sons from making their father's mistake. By pushing Ryan into Claire's arms? By having her get pregnant first? The room went silent. Claire's face drained of color. What did you say? Ryan stood slowly. Ask your mother about the fertility clinic appointments she arranged for Claire. Ask her about the timing, how convenient it was that Claire got pregnant just as you were starting to question your mother's influence. That's ridiculous, Margaret snapped, but her eyes darted to Claire. Is it? I pulled out my phone, playing the voicemail I'd been saving. Claire's voice filled the room. Margaret, the doctor confirmed it. 3 months, just like you planned. Ryan won't be able to walk away now. The recording ended. Claire burst into tears. Ryan looked like he might be sick. You planned this, he whispered to his mother. All of it? Margaret's composure crumbled. I did what was necessary. That girl would have ruined you, just like my father was ruined? Ryan's voice rose. By marrying beneath him? By loving someone you didn't approve of? By being deceived? Margaret stood, her chair scraping back. And now you're doing the same thing. Adelaide's no different from me, lying, manipulating, using a baby to trap you. The difference is, I said quietly, I don't want your son. Or your name? Or anything else from this toxic family? Then what do you want? Margaret demanded. For my child to never know what it feels like to be a pawn in someone else's game. I turned to Ryan. I'm leaving town. Starting fresh somewhere else. You can tell everyone whatever story makes you look best. Addie, please, as Ryan reached for me. I stepped back. Your mother won't stop. She'll always see me as see our child, as a threat to her perfect world. And you'll always be caught between us, just like you are with Claire. I'll fix this, he pleaded. You can't. Because you're just like her, so afraid of losing control that you'll destroy anything real to maintain the illusion. I walked out, leaving them with their perfectly arranged lives and carefully constructed lies. In the driveway, Caleb caught up with me. What you said about leaving town. I meant it. He nodded. Take me with you. I stared at him, seeing the same desperate need for escape in his eyes that I felt in my soul. Behind us, raised voices spilled from the house, the sound of a family imploding under the weight of its own deceptions. Okay, I said. Let's go. The envelope arrived 3 days after Caleb and I left town. No return address, just my name in that same precise handwriting as the first letter. Inside was a single photograph, Margaret, decades younger, standing beside another woman who could have been her twin. Elizabeth, Caleb said, looking over my shoulder. Mom's sister. I haven't seen her since I was a kid. We sat in my mother's vacation cottage, boxes still unpacked around us. The photo trembled in my hands. Why would she send this now? My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. Hello, Adelaide. The voice was eerily similar to Margaret's, but softer. I believe it's time we met. An hour later, we sat across from Elizabeth Mitchell in a quiet cafe. She looked like Margaret's ghost, same aristocratic features, but worn by time and hardship instead of preserved by privilege. I sent the first letter, she said without preamble. About Ryan and Claire. Caleb's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. What? I've watched Margaret destroy lives for 30 years. When I heard about you, Adelaide, I knew she'd do it again. So you decided to destroy my life instead? The words tasted bitter. I decided to give you a choice, something Margaret never gave me. Elizabeth's fingers traced the photo's edge. She didn't just steal my fiancé, you know. She stole my entire life. My identity. Used it to create her perfect society marriage. That's impossible, Caleb whispered. Is it? Ask yourself why there are no family photos before your parents' wedding. Why Margaret never talks about her childhood. She took everything, my background, my connections, even my name. Elizabeth Margaret Mitchell became just Margaret Mitchell, while I became no one. My hand instinctively moved to my stomach. Why tell us now? Because history's repeating itself. Margaret orchestrating Claire's pregnancy, pushing Ryan to choose the right path. She's still trying to control the narrative, create her perfect family story. At what cost? Caleb's voice cracked. That's what I wanted Adelaide to see. Before it was too late. My phone buzzed, Ryan calling. Again. He's been trying to reach you, Caleb said quietly. I know. Elizabeth leaned forward. Margaret will never stop. She'll use both babies to maintain her control. Unless. Unless what? Unless you do what I never could. Tell the truth. All of it. The phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Sam, Ryan's here at the studio looking for you. Says it's about Margaret. I have to go back, I said, standing. Addie, no, Caleb started. Not to stay. To finish this. For all of us. I looked at Elizabeth. Will you help? She smiled, a real smile, nothing like Margaret's practiced version. I've waited 30 years to tell my story. The drive back felt like moving through a dream. We found Ryan at my studio, looking haunted. Mom's in the hospital, he said when he saw us. She tried to. Is she okay? Caleb asked. Physically, yes. But she keeps asking for you, Addie. And Elizabeth? Elizabeth stepped out from behind me. Ryan stumbled back. Hello, nephew, she said softly. I don't understand. You will. I moved past him to unlock the studio. Call Margaret's doctor. Tell her to expect visitors. It's time for a family reunion. Adelaide, Ryan caught my arm. I left Claire. After what Mom did. I couldn't. This isn't about us anymore, I pulled away gently. It's about breaking a cycle. For all our children. In the fading light, I watched Ryan make the call, saw Caleb embrace his aunt, felt my baby move for the first time. Small moments of truth breaking through decades of lies. Ready? Elizabeth asked. I nodded, thinking of Margaret in her hospital bed, finally forced to face the ghosts of her past. Ready? Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about forcing them to see their own reflection, unfiltered by the lies they've built their life upon. Margaret's hospital room felt smaller than it should have, crowded with the weight of decades of lies. She lay propped against white pillows, her perfect facade cracked by exhaustion and something that looked almost like fear. Elizabeth. The name escaped her lips like a ghost. Hello, Margaret. Or should I say, little sister? I stayed by the door while Elizabeth approached the bed, the truth stretched between them like a tightrope. Ryan and Caleb flanked their mother, watching this stranger who wore her face. You had no right, Margaret whispered. To what? My own life? The one you stole? I made something of it. Something better than you ever could. Elizabeth pulled out the old photograph. Better? You built an empire on lies, Margaret. And now it's crumbling, just like mine did 30 years ago. Margaret's hands trembled. I protected my family. No, I stepped forward. You controlled them. There's a difference. Adelaide, Ryan reached for me, but I shook my head. I'm not here for reconciliation. I'm here so your children can understand why their mother would rather destroy their happiness than lose her grip on the narrative. They don't need to know, Margaret started. We already do, Caleb interrupted. About Claire, about Elizabeth, about everything. It's over, Mom. Margaret's composure shattered. I did it for you. Both of you. I gave you the life I never had. You gave us lies, Ryan's voice cracked. And now there are 2 children who'll pay the price. Unless we break the cycle, I said, touching my stomach. Right here. Right now. Elizabeth placed the photograph on Margaret's bed. Tell them the truth, Margaret. All of it. Or I will. The silence stretched, filled with the beeping of hospital monitors and the weight of unspoken confessions. Finally, Margaret spoke, her voice small. I was nobody. Elizabeth was everything, beautiful, sophisticated, engaged to the perfect man. I needed. To be me, Elizabeth finished. To be better than you. The truth spilled out, how Margaret had stolen her sister's identity while Elizabeth was traveling abroad. How she'd stepped into her life so seamlessly that even their parents couldn't prove otherwise. How she'd married Elizabeth's fiancé, built her perfect world on a foundation of carefully constructed lies. And now? I asked when she finished. What happens to your perfect world? Margaret looked at her sons, then at me. You'll tell everyone. No, Elizabeth said. You will. Because if you don't, if you try to maintain this facade, you'll lose them anyway. Look what it's already cost you. Ryan moved to the window, his shoulders tight. Claire lost the baby. The stress. My heart clenched, not for the loss of Margaret's planned perfection, but for the innocent life caught in her web of manipulation. I'm leaving town, I announced. Not running away, but moving forward. My child deserves a fresh start, away from all this. Our child, Ryan said quietly. No. My child. Who will know the truth about everything, their history, their family, their worth, without it being filtered through someone else's expectations. Caleb stepped forward. I'm still coming with you. Margaret made a small, broken sound. Not to escape, he told her. But to help build something real. Something honest. I looked at Elizabeth, who nodded slightly. We'd given Margaret her moment of reckoning. Now it was time to leave her with the consequences of her choices. At the door, I turned back one last time. The irony is, Margaret, if you'd just been yourself, told the truth from the beginning, you might have had everything you wanted anyway. Real love. Real family. Real respect. How can you be so sure? She whispered. Because I'm choosing truth over perfection. And I've never felt stronger. We left Margaret with Elizabeth, two sisters separated by decades of lies, finally facing their shared reflection. Ryan followed us into the hallway. Addie, please. Goodbye, Ryan. Break the cycle your own way. I'll break it mine. Outside, the morning sun painted everything in new light. Caleb loaded our bags while I looked back at the hospital one last time, thinking about cycles of revenge and redemption. About the difference between running away and walking forward. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying someone's perfect lie, but in living your own perfect truth.
The photo album hits the floor with a dull thud, scattering memories across the hardwood like dead leaves. I freeze on the stairs, my hand still gripping the banister, as my father's voice drifts up from his study. We have to think about Olivia's future, Val. Canterbury Prep isn't cheap. Thomas, darling, you know it's the best option. Olivia's talents would be wasted at public school. Welcome. Before we start today's story, share your location below. Let's see how far these tales reach. New here? Join our growing family by subscribing. Now, let's dive into our story. I'm McKenna, and this is the moment I learned that love has a price tag. My stepmother's voice drips honey, the same sweetness she used when convincing Dad to let her redecorate Mom's garden. Besides, McKenna's college fund is just sitting there. She hasn't even decided on a school yet. The words punch through my chest. 3 years of straight A's, countless all-nighters, and endless SAT prep, all to secure a spot at Northwestern, Mom's alma mater. My acceptance letter sits upstairs, hidden under my mattress like a dirty secret. I don't know, Val. Sarah, McKenna's mother, she wanted. Sarah's been gone for 8 years, Thomas. We need to focus on the family we have now. I sink down onto the stairs, pressing my palms against the cool wood. The family we have now. As if I'm some relic from a past life, gathering dust in the corners of their perfect new beginning. Through the crack in the door, I watch Dad run his hands through his graying hair, a gesture so familiar it hurts. Maybe we could take out a loan instead. Don't be ridiculous. Our credit's already stretched thin with the house renovations. Valerie's heels click across the floor as she moves closer to him. McKenna will understand. She's always been practical. Practical. Like when I smiled through Olivia's sweet 16 party while wearing a dress from Target. Like when I gave up my room, the one with the bay window where Mom used to read to me, because Olivia needed a bigger closet. We'll talk to her tomorrow, Dad says, his voice heavy with resignation. After dinner. Perfect timing. I'm making her favorite pasta. Valerie laughs softly. The way to any teenager's heart, right? Wrong. Mom's lasagna was my favorite, but I stopped mentioning that years ago when Valerie's smile would tighten at the corners. I stand up slowly, careful not to make a sound. The scattered photos stare up at me, Mom's face frozen in various moments of joy. Her wedding day. My 5th birthday. The last Christmas before the cancer took her. One photo catches my eye. Mom sitting in her garden, surrounded by the roses she loved so much. On the back, in her elegant handwriting, "Remember who you are, my fierce girl. Never let anyone dim your light." My fingers trace the words as something cold and hard settles in my chest. They want to talk tomorrow. Fine. But I won't be the practical, understanding daughter they expect. Not anymore. I gather the photos quietly, tucking them into my sweater. As I climb the stairs to my room, I hear Valerie's laugh again, followed by Dad's low murmur. They sound so satisfied, so certain of their plans for my future. But they forgot something important. Mom didn't raise me to be practical. She raised me to be fierce. I close my bedroom door and pull out my phone, scrolling to Grandma Ruth's number. If they want to play games with my future, they're about to learn that I know how to play too. And unlike them, I'm not afraid to go all in. Tomorrow, they'll realize their perfect little family has cracks they never noticed. And I'm done pretending those cracks don't exist. Grandma Ruth's kitchen smells like cinnamon and truth. She sets a steaming mug of tea in front of me, her silver rings clicking against the ceramic. "They're doing what with your college fund?" "Using it to send precious Olivia to Canterbury Prep." The words taste bitter, like the dregs at the bottom of my cup. Dad didn't even try to fight it. Grandpa Henry looks up from his crossword puzzle, his jaw tight. "That money was Sarah's life insurance. She specifically set it aside for your education. Try telling that to Valerie." I pull out my phone, showing them the acceptance letter from Northwestern. I got an early decision. Full tuition would have been covered by Mom's fund. Ruth's hand trembles as she sits down. "When did you find out?" "Last night. They're planning to break the news over Valerie's famous pasta dinner tonight." I laugh, but it comes out wrong, like broken glass. As if carbs can soften the blow of stealing my future. The kitchen clock ticks between us. Through the window, I watch a cardinal land on the bird feeder Henry built last summer. Mom used to love watching the birds here, sketching them in her journal while Ruth baked. "There's something else you should know," Ruth says, exchanging a look with Henry. "We've decided to move to Pine Grove Retirement Community." "What?" "But this house is yours." Henry puts down his pencil. "We signed the papers last week. It was always meant to be your inheritance, but given the circumstances." My tea goes cold as they explain. The house, this beautiful Victorian with its wraparound porch and secret reading nooks, has been in Mom's family for generations. Ruth and Henry kept it in trust after Mom died, knowing Dad would never sell his new wife's dream home to move here. Does Dad know? Not yet. Ruth reaches across the table, her fingers wrapping around mine. "The timing is up to you, sweetheart." A car door slams outside. Through the window, I see Olivia stepping out of her friend's Mercedes, designer shopping bags hanging from her arms. The same arms that hugged me last Christmas while she whispered, "Don't worry, you'll find somewhere cheaper than Northwestern. Community college isn't that bad." My phone buzzes. "Dad, where are you?" "Valerie starting dinner soon. I should go." I stand up, but my legs feel heavy. "They're waiting." "McKenna." Henry's voice stops me at the door. "Your mother never backed down from a fight. Neither should you." The drive home is short, but my mind races faster than the car. The house looms ahead, my house, technically. The thought sits like a weapon in my pocket. Inside, Valerie's bustling around the kitchen, humming as she stirs her sauce. "There you are. I was worried you'd miss our family dinner." Family. The word sticks in my throat. "Sorry, I was at Grandma's." I move past her to set the table, counting forks like ammunition. Need any help? No, no. You just relax. Your father and I have something important to discuss with you. Dad appears in the doorway, his tie loosened. Princess, where were you all afternoon? We tried calling. Princess. He hasn't called me that since before Mom died. The manipulation is so obvious it almost makes me laugh. Olivia bounces in, still in her shopping clothes. Daddy, look what Jessica's mom bought her for the Canterbury spring formal. Can I get one too? We'll talk about it later, sweetheart. But his smile gives away the answer. We sit down to eat, the pasta steaming on our plates like a last meal. Valerie chatters about her garden club, Dad nods at appropriate intervals, and Olivia texts under the table. A perfect family dinner, except for the grenade I'm holding. So, McKenna, Valerie starts, her voice honey-sweet. Your father and I wanted to discuss something with you. About your future. I twirl pasta around my fork, watching the sauce drip red like blood. Funny. I have something to discuss too. The table goes quiet. In my pocket, my phone buzzes with a text from Ruth. Remember who you are, fierce girl. I look up, meeting their expectant faces. Time to light the match. The hallways at Jefferson High feel different now, like everyone's whispering about secrets I didn't know I had. Emma Chen, my lab partner since freshman year, switches seats when I walk into AP Chemistry. Two girls from volleyball practice suddenly need to use the bathroom when I enter the locker room. Then I see the Instagram post. Some people will do anything for attention. Olivia's caption reads beneath a photo of me at last week's college acceptance celebration. Even lie about getting into Northwestern to make their family feel guilty. Hashtag pathological liar, hashtag get help. My hands shake as I scroll through the comments. Olivia's friends have been busy, sharing stories about how I've made up my acceptance, how I'm jealous of her Canterbury acceptance. How I'm unstable since Mom died. Is it true? Emma asks during lunch, sliding into the seat across from me. About Northwestern. I pull out my phone, ready to show her the acceptance letter, but stop myself. The fact that she needs proof makes my stomach turn. You've known me for 4 years, Em. She fidgets with her water bottle. It's just. Olivia showed everyone the Northwestern acceptance rates, and your grades freshman year weren't. My grades. The cafeteria noise fades to a buzz. You mean when my mom was dying of cancer? I didn't mean. Save it. I stand up, my untouched lunch tray like a barrier between us. Ask Olivia about her Canterbury acceptance. I'm sure she'd love to tell you all about her perfect grades. I find Olivia in the senior parking lot after school, surrounded by her usual crowd. She's wearing Mom's old pearl necklace, the one that disappeared from my jewelry box last month. She claimed Dad gave it to her as an early birthday present. Taking more family heirlooms, Olivia? My voice carries across the lot. Or just more of my future? The circle parts as I approach. Olivia's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Having another meltdown, sis. Maybe you should see someone about these delusions. Delusions? I pull out my phone, opening the Northwestern portal. Like how you're telling everyone I faked my acceptance? Or how about the delusion that those are your pearls? Daddy gave these to me. Her hand flies to the necklace. Just like he's giving me the opportunity one deserve at Canterbury. It's not my fault you're not good enough for. The crack of my palm against her cheek echoes through the parking lot. Phones appear instantly, recording. Olivia's eyes go wide, then fill with tears right on cue. She hit me. She sobs, clutching her face. Did everyone see that? She's completely lost it. Security arrives within minutes. In the principal's office, Valerie plays the concerned stepmother perfectly, dabbing at Olivia's non-existent bruise while Dad stares at the floor. Given the circumstances, Principal Martinez says, and McKenna's emotional state, we're recommending a 3-day suspension. Emotional state. I laugh, the sound sharp enough to make Dad flinch. You mean like having my college fund stolen? Or watching my stepsister wear my dead mother's jewelry? McKenna, please. Dad finally speaks, his voice tired. Let's not do this here. Why not? Isn't this what family's all about? Pretending everything's fine while we steal from each other. Valerie gasps, pressing Olivia closer. Thomas, do you hear how she's talking? Maybe we should consider getting her some help. The only help I need is a lawyer. I stand up, my chair scraping against the floor. Those pearls belonged to my mother, and that college fund was her life insurance money. But go ahead, keep pretending I'm the crazy one. Principal Martinez clears her throat. Perhaps some family counseling would be beneficial. Family. I look at Dad, really look at him, seeing the gray in his hair, the new lines around his mouth. We stopped being a family the moment he chose their happiness over Mom's memory. I walk out before anyone can respond, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Outside, the afternoon sun hits the pearl necklace around Olivia's neck, making it gleam like tears. My phone buzzes, a text from Ruth, "Come home, fierce girl. We need to talk." Home. Not the house where Dad and Valerie are rewriting my history. Not the school where my truth has become another Instagram lie. Home is where Mom's roses still bloom, where her memory isn't something to be stolen or sold. And it's time to take it back. Ruth's hands shake as she slides the manila envelope across her kitchen table. Your mother wanted you to have this when you turned 18. I've been waiting for the right moment. Inside, I find property deeds, bank statements, and a letter dated 2 weeks before Mom died. The paper feels thin, fragile, like butterfly wings between my fingers. She knew, didn't she? My voice cracks. About Dad and Valerie. Ruth nods slowly. Sarah was many things, but naive wasn't one of them. She saw how Thomas looked at Valerie at the hospital fundraisers. The truth settles like ash in my mouth. Mom's cancer didn't just take her life, it gave them their beginning. While she was dying, they were falling in love. There's more. Henry appears in the doorway, holding a dusty shoebox. Your mother kept recordings. Voice memos, mostly. She was documenting things. The first recording starts with a whisper. Mom's voice, weak but determined. If you're listening to this, McKenna, then I need you to understand why I did what I did. My hands grip the table's edge as her story unfolds. The suspicious bank transfers. The late-night phone calls. Dad's business trips that coincided with Valerie's charity events. Mom knew she was dying, but she also knew Dad was already gone. She transferred everything into a trust, Ruth explains. The house, her inheritance, your college fund, all legally protected. Thomas never knew. But Dad said the college fund was a separate account he controlled. Henry's voice hardens. He's been lying, trying to access money that was never his. A text lights up my phone. Dad, we need to talk about what happened at school. Family meeting tonight. Family. The word tastes different now, poisoned by 8 years of lies. They can't touch any of it without your signature, Ruth says. Not the house, not the trust, not even those pearls Olivia's wearing. Everything belongs to you. The power of this knowledge feels heavy, like Mom's old pearl necklace around my neck. I could destroy them with a single word. make them feel as helpless as I've felt. But Mom's voice plays again from the recorder. Remember, fierce girl, revenge is easy. Wisdom is harder. What should I do? I ask, but I'm not sure who I'm asking, Ruth, Henry, or Mom's ghost. That depends, Henry says, on what kind of person you want to be. Another text buzzes. Olivia, Dad's really upset. If you apologize tonight, maybe we can fix this. I'll even let you borrow the pearls sometime, face blowing a kiss. The rage rises like a tide, but beneath it something else stirs. Understanding. Mom didn't leave me these weapons to destroy our family. She left them to protect me from becoming like them. I need to go home, I say, standing. Ruth touches my arm. You are home. No. I gather the documents, careful with Mom's letter. I need to go to the house. There's a family meeting tonight. McKenna, Henry starts, worried. It's okay. I manage a smile. Mom taught me how to fight smart, remember? Outside, the setting sun turns everything golden, like the world's been dipped in honey. Mom's roses bloom in Ruth's garden, their petals catching the light like tiny flames. My phone buzzes one last time. Valerie, we only want what's best for everyone, sweetheart. Let's talk this through as a family. I think of Mom, dying but still fighting, not with anger or accusations, but with quiet, careful planning. Protecting me until I was ready to protect myself. The manila envelope weighs nothing in my hands, but its contents could change everything. Tonight, at their carefully orchestrated family meeting, they'll try to paint me as the villain, the unstable daughter, the jealous sister, the ungrateful stepdaughter. But Mom taught me something they've forgotten: real power doesn't shout. It whispers. And I've got 8 years of whispers tucked safely in this envelope. Time to show them what fierce really means. The family meeting feels like a carefully staged play. Valerie's arranged us around the dining room table, Dad at the head, her at his right, Olivia beside her. The perfect family tableau, with me as the disruptive element. Mom's pearl necklace still gleams at Olivia's throat. She touches it constantly, like a talisman. We're worried about you, sweetheart. Valerie reaches across the table, but I pull my hands back. Your behavior lately, the incident at school. Let's talk about behavior. I place Mom's manila envelope on the table. Like accessing accounts that don't belong to you. Dad's face pales. What are you talking about? The college fund wasn't yours to take. I slide the bank statements toward him. Mom made sure of that. Valerie's smile freezes. Thomas, what is she? 8 years. My voice stays steady, the way Mom's did in her recordings. 8 years of trying to access accounts you knew weren't yours. Did you think no one was watching? That money was meant for your future, Dad starts. You're right. It was. I pull out Mom's letter next. Just like this house was meant for my future. The silence that follows feels like glass about to shatter. Olivia's hand flies to the pearls again, her fingers trembling. What do you mean, the house? Valerie's voice rises slightly. Thomas. He doesn't know. I meet Dad's eyes. Mom left everything in trust. The house, the accounts, even those pearls Olivia's wearing. Everything belongs to me. Olivia yanks the necklace off like it's burning her. Daddy, tell her she's lying. The papers are right there. I nod to the envelope. Maybe you should read them, Dad. See how Mom spent her last months protecting me while you were falling in love with Valerie. The color drains from his face. How did you? The voice memos. I pull out my phone. Mom documented everything. The calls, the meetings, the transfers. She knew what was happening, even from her hospital bed. Valerie stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. Thomas, we need to call our lawyer. Your lawyer can't help. I stay seated, channeling Mom's quiet strength. Everything's legal. Everything's binding. The only question is what happens next. Are you threatening us? Olivia's voice cracks. In our own home. Not your home. The words feel like keys unlocking something inside me. Never was. Dad reaches for the papers with shaking hands. McKenna, princess, we can work this out. We're family. Family. I laugh, but it sounds more like breaking. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't lie and manipulate and gaslight. Family doesn't fall in love while their wife is dying of cancer. The last words hit him like physical blows. Valerie moves to touch his shoulder, but he flinches away. What do you want? Valerie's mask finally cracks, showing the fear beneath. Money. The house. Those stupid pearls. I stand slowly, gathering the documents. I want what Mom wanted, the truth. And now everyone has it. You can't just throw us out, Olivia whispers. Where would we go? The question hangs in the air, heavy with implications. I think of Mom's voice in the recordings, tired but determined. Sometimes protection means making hard choices, fierce girl. You have 3 months. The words taste like ashes and victory. That's more notice than you gave Mom when you started planning your new life together. Dad's head drops into his hands. Valerie's perfect makeup is starting to run. Olivia stares at the pearls on the table like they're serpents. I walk to the door, then pause. One more thing. I turn back, meeting each of their eyes. Mom forgave you, Dad. In her last recording, she said she forgave you. I'm not sure I can do the same. Outside, the evening air feels clean, washing away 8 years of pretense. My phone buzzes with a text from Ruth. You okay, fierce girl? I look back at the house, my house, where 3 people are realizing their carefully constructed world just collapsed. Mom's roses still bloom in the front garden, their petals catching the last light like drops of blood. Dad shows up at Ruth's house 3 days before the eviction deadline. He looks smaller somehow, his suit hanging loose like borrowed clothes. I watch from the kitchen window as he paces the front walk, stopping to stare at Mom's roses. You don't have to talk to him, Henry says behind me. But I do. Because the man outside isn't the confident father who betrayed us or the weak husband who fell for Valerie. He's something worse, he's broken. The porch steps creak under our weight as we sit, keeping careful distance between us. The bank called, he says finally. We're underwater on the mortgage. Valerie's credit cards, Olivia's school fees. He rubs his face. Everything was built on lies. Like your marriage to Mom. He flinches. I loved your mother. While falling in love with someone else. It wasn't, he stops, a shoulder slumping. You're right. I don't have any excuses left. A cardinal lands in Mom's rose bush, bright against the thorns. Where will you go? Valerie's sister has a place in Cleveland. His voice cracks. Olivia's devastated about leaving her school, her friends. She blames me. They both do. Good. The word hangs between us, sharp and honest. Dad turns, and for a moment I see tears in his eyes. I deserve that. But McKenna, you're becoming. What? Cold. Cruel. I stand up, anger burning through my careful control. Wonder where I learned that. Like them. He whispers it. You're becoming like them. The truth hits like a physical blow. In my pocket, Mom's voice recorder feels heavy. I'd been listening to her final messages last night, not the angry ones about Dad's betrayal, but the quiet ones. Her hopes for my future. Her prayers for peace. We found more recordings, I say. From the hospital. You never visited on Thursdays because you were with Valerie. Mom knew. She sat there alone, planning my future while you planned yours. He covers his face with his hands. I can't change the past. No. But I can protect my future. I pull out a folder, more documents from Mom's trust. The house isn't just property. It's everything you and Valerie tried to hide. The transfers, the accounts, the affairs. Mom documented everything. What are you saying? Leave quietly. Take your perfect new family and disappear. My voice sounds like Mom's in those final recordings, tired but resolute. Or I release everything. Your firm, your clients, everyone will know. You destroy me completely. His voice breaks. Your own father. The cardinal takes flight, startled by something we can't see. I think of Olivia wearing Mom's pearls, of Valerie redecorating Mom's garden. Of 8 years pretending we were family while they dismantled my mother's legacy piece by piece. You destroyed yourself, I say. I'm just delivering the consequences. He stands slowly, aged decades in minutes. Sarah wouldn't want this for you. This anger, this revenge. Don't you dare tell me what Mom would want. The words tear from my throat. You lost that right when you left her to die alone. He reaches for me, but I step back. Through the window, I see Ruth watching, her hand pressed against the glass. 3 days, I remind him. Then everything comes out. He walks away, shoulders bent like he's fighting a strong wind. I wait until his car disappears before my legs give out. Ruth finds me on the porch steps, clutching Mom's recorder like a lifeline. Did it feel like you thought it would? She asks softly. I press play on the recorder, Mom's voice filling the space between heartbeats. Remember, fierce girl, revenge is easy. Living with it is harder. I don't know who I am anymore, I whisper. Ruth sits beside me, her warmth steady and sure. You're Sarah's daughter. And sometimes being fierce means knowing when to put down the sword. The cardinal returns to the roses, settling among the thorns like it belongs there. In 3 days, I'll have everything I wanted, justice, revenge, my mother's house empty of their presence. But Mom's voice plays on, the hardest victory isn't winning, sweet girl. It's knowing when you've won enough. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of consequences settling around me like chains. The moving truck idles in the driveway like a waiting storm. Through the bay window, I watch Valerie directing movers with sharp gestures while Olivia sits on the front steps. Still wearing Mom's pearls despite everything. I unlock the front door for the last time. Tomorrow, this will be my house, empty of their presence, full of Mom's memories. Victory should taste sweeter than this. Come to gloat. Olivia doesn't look up from her phone. Come to make sure you don't take anything else that isn't yours. She touches the pearls. Daddy gave these to me. No, he didn't. I hold out my hand. Mom left them for me in trust, just like everything else you tried to steal. We didn't steal anything. She stands, tears streaming down her face. You're the one stealing our home. Your home. The laugh that escapes me sounds foreign. You mean the home where you redecorated my mother's garden? Where you took her jewelry? Where you planned to take my future? I never. She stops, color draining from her face as Valerie appears behind me. Olivia, get in the car. Valerie's voice is steel wrapped in silk. Now. But Olivia doesn't move. Tell her, Mom. Tell her about the letters. What letters? Valerie's mask cracks slightly. Nothing. Just. Show her. Olivia pulls an envelope from her jacket. Show her what kind of person her precious mother really was. The envelope is old, the paper yellowed. Inside, I find letters in Mom's handwriting, dozens of them. All addressed to Dad, all dated during her final months. Read them. Valerie's voice trembles. Read how your perfect mother threatened to expose Thomas if he left her. How she used her illness to manipulate him. Why do you think she documented everything? My hands shake as I scan the pages. Mom's words, desperate and angry, if you leave now, I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. And, you won't have anything left when I'm done. Sound familiar? Valerie steps closer. Like mother, like daughter. You're both so good at revenge. The truth hits like a physical blow. Mom wasn't just protecting me, she was fighting back, using the same weapons I'm using now. She was dying. The words taste like ash. You were taking everything from her. She was keeping Thomas trapped. Valerie's composure shatters. He was miserable, but she wouldn't let him go. So yes, we waited. And yes, we planned. Because she left us no choice. Dad appears in the doorway, looking worn and gray. That's enough, Val. No, they should both know the truth. Valerie grabs the pearls from Olivia's neck, snapping the strand. Pearls scatter across the porch like tears. You want your mother's legacy. Here it is, manipulation and spite, wrapped in righteousness. I stare at the broken necklace, at the scattered pearls catching sunlight. Mom's voice plays in my head, remember who you are, fierce girl. But who am I? My mother's daughter, carrying her anger like an inheritance. Or something else. Keep the house. The words surprise even me. Keep the pearls, keep everything. What? Olivia whispers. I don't want to be this person anymore. I look at Dad, really look at him. Mom chose revenge. I'm choosing to be different. McKenna, Dad starts, but I cut him off. I'm going to Northwestern. I'll find my own way there. I pull out Mom's recorder, placing it with the letters. Keep these too. We've all heard enough ghosts. Valerie's mask crumples entirely. Why? Because Mom taught me to be fierce. I step back, feeling lighter somehow. But she never taught me how to be free. I walk away from the house, their house now, truly theirs. Behind me, I hear Olivia crying, Valerie calling my name, Dad's heavy silence. But ahead of me, the future stretches clean and empty, ready to be filled with something other than revenge. Mom's last recording plays in my memory. The hardest victory isn't winning, sweet girl. It's knowing when you've won enough. I've won enough. More than enough. It's time to let the ghosts rest. The Northwestern acceptance package sits unopened on Ruth's kitchen table. Outside, the first spring roses are blooming, their petals catching morning light like tiny flames. You should open it, Ruth says, sliding a cup of tea across the table. Financial aid letters don't read themselves. My hands shake slightly as I break the seal. Inside, I find what Mom planned for all along, a full scholarship, based on merit and need. No loans, no compromises, no debts to anyone. She would have been proud, Henry says, his crossword puzzle forgotten. Not because of the money, but because of who you've become. A text lights up my phone. Olivia, found something in my room while packing. Think you should have it. You don't have to go, Ruth says, but I'm already standing. The drive to the house feels different now. The weight of revenge has lifted, leaving something lighter but more complex in its place. Olivia waits on the porch steps, holding a small wooden box I recognize from Mom's dresser. Her hands tremble as she holds it out. "I took it the day after your mom died," she confesses. I thought if I had pieces of her, maybe Dad would love me the same way." Inside the box, I find Mom's charm bracelet, each charm telling a story. The paintbrush from my first art show. The book from when I learned to read. The rose from her garden. There's one more thing. Olivia pulls out a folded paper from her pocket. It was inside the box. I never read it. The letter is in Mom's handwriting, dated 3 days before she died. "My fierce girl. By now you've probably discovered the truth about your father and Valerie. Maybe you've even chosen revenge, like I did. But I've learned something in these final days. Revenge is a mirror that shows us who we might become if we let pain guide our choices. I choose to let go, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Freedom from the anger I've carried, freedom to become someone greater than our combined mistakes. The charms on this bracelet tell your story, not mine, not your father's, but yours alone. Add to it. Make it beautiful. Make it fierce. All my love. Mom." "Dad's in his study," Olivia says quietly. "He hasn't left since you gave us the house." I find him surrounded by papers and empty coffee cups. He looks up when I enter, his eyes red-rimmed. "The pearls," he starts, but I shake my head. "Keep them. They're just things." I touch Mom's bracelet on my wrist. "I have what matters." He nods slowly, understanding filling the silence between us. "Northwestern. Full scholarship. Mom made sure of it. She always was better at planning than me." He attempts a smile. "Better at everything, really." "Not everything." I think of Mom's letters, her desperate grip on a failing marriage. She held on too tight sometimes. So did I. And now, I look around his study, at the family photos he kept, the memories he couldn't quite let go of. Now I choose something different. Valerie appears in the doorway, her perfect makeup unable to hide her exhaustion. The movers need to know about the dining room set. Keep it, I say again. Keep it all. But remember why you have it. Understanding passes between us, not forgiveness, not yet, but something like recognition. We're all haunted by choices made in pain. Outside, Ruth's car waits to take me to my new future. But first, I stop in Mom's garden. The roses she planted still bloom, surviving winter, neglect, and change. I add a final charm to the bracelet, a tiny silver key. Not to the house I'm leaving behind, but to the future I'm choosing. A future where being fierce means knowing when to let go, when to bloom despite the thorns. Mom's last gift wasn't the trust or the house or even her careful planning. It was this moment, standing in her garden, choosing to be more than our collected hurts. I touch the key charm one last time, then walk away from the house that was never really home. Behind me, the roses continue blooming, indifferent to who owns them, concerned only with reaching toward the light. The attic smells like forgotten promises and stale regret. Dust motes dance in the beam of sunlight streaming through the small window, making the air look thick enough to chew. I've been sorting through my grandparents' belongings for hours, boxing up decades of memories they've collected in this cramped space. Welcome to today's tale. Before we begin, share your location with our community. Let's see how far these stories travel. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Now then. My name is June, and I'm doing what good granddaughters do, helping clear out the mess before they downsize to their new condo. At least that's what I tell myself as I wade through cardboard boxes and steamer trunks. Found anything interesting up there? Grandma Helen's voice floats up from below. Just more Christmas decorations, I call back, pushing aside a box labeled 1985 tax returns. And about 50 years of Reader's Digest. That's when I see it, a pale blue envelope peeking out from beneath a stack of old photo albums. The paper is thin, delicate, like it might crumble in my hands. My mother's handwriting jumps out at me immediately. I'd recognize those precise, angular letters anywhere. The letter is dated March 15, 1999. I would have been 3 months old. Dear Mom. I don't know how to say this without sounding terrible, but I need to tell someone. I never wanted a second child. Robert and I were perfect with just Jessica. She was everything we dreamed of, beautiful, smart, our little miracle. This new baby. June. She feels like an intruder. Every time she cries, I want to scream. Robert barely looks at her. We're both just going through the motions. I know you'll judge me for this, but I had to tell someone. Sometimes I look at her and feel nothing but regret. Love. Emily. The paper trembles in my hands. My throat closes up, and something hot and sharp twists in my chest. All those years of sideways glances, forgotten birthdays, and half-hearted hugs suddenly make perfect sense. June. You've gone quiet up there. Grandma's voice again, tinged with concern. I stuffed the letter in my pocket. I'm fine, I manage, but my voice cracks on the second word. Footsteps on the stairs. Grandma appears in the attic doorway, her face softening when she sees me. Oh, sweetheart. You found it. You knew about this. She crosses the room and pulls me into her arms. I smell her familiar lavender perfume, feel the softness of her cardigan against my cheek. Your grandfather and I have been trying to protect you since the day you were born. From what? The truth that my own parents never wanted me. From their limitations, she says firmly. Their inability to see what was right in front of them, a beautiful, brilliant girl who deserved so much more than their indifference. I pull away, wiping my eyes with the back of my hand. Is that why you and Grandpa have always been there? Of course. We saw what was happening. We couldn't stand by and watch you fade into Jessica's shadow. The letter burns in my pocket like a brand. All those years of trying to prove myself, of competing with Jessica's golden child status. Of seeking approval that would never come, it wasn't just in my head. It was real. It is real. What do I do now? I whisper. Grandma takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. You live. You thrive. You show them exactly what they missed out on. She pauses, studying my face. And maybe, just maybe, you make them regret every moment they took you for granted. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates realigning. The hurt is still there, but it's hardening into something else, something with edges sharp enough to cut. I think I'd like that, I say quietly, and for the first time since finding the letter, I smile. Grandma squeezes my hand. Then let's start with getting you through college. Your grandfather and I have been saving for years. It's time you knew about that too. The attic suddenly feels less like a graveyard of memories and more like a launching pad. I may have been an unwanted child, but I'm done being an unwanted adult. My mother's words might have broken something inside me today, but they've also set something free. And I intend to make every single one of them remember this moment. 3 days after finding the letter, I'm sitting at my parents' dining room table, pretending to care about Jessica's wedding color schemes. My sister spreads magazine clippings across the polished mahogany like she's planning a military campaign. The venue alone is $60,000, Jessica announces, tapping a glossy photo of some vineyard estate. But Daddy already promised it's not an issue. Mother beams at her. Nothing but the best for our special girl. I concentrate on my coffee, watching the cream swirl into patterns. My acceptance letter to graduate school burns a hole in my bag, the one I haven't mentioned yet because I already know what they'll say. Or won't say. June could help with the centerpieces, Jessica suggests, not looking up from her magazines. Save us some money there. I can't, I say. I'll be busy with school. Now they look at me. Mother's perfectly plucked eyebrows arch upward. Still. Surely you've gotten enough education by now. I got accepted to Columbia's financial analytics program. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Full-time, starting this fall. The silence that follows feels like a vacuum. Jessica's mouth twists into something between a smirk and a frown. How exactly are you planning to pay for that? I've been saving, I say. And Grandma and Grandpa. Oh, June. Mother's voice drips with familiar disappointment. You can't keep expecting your grandparents to support you. They're getting older. They need to think about their own future. Father finally looks up from his phone. Columbia's expensive. We've already committed our resources to Jessica's wedding. Maybe in a few years. A few years. I grip my coffee mug tighter. Like after you've paid for Jessica's third destination wedding. That's uncalled for, Mother snaps. Your sister found real love this time. Michael is different. Jessica preens. He's already talking about buying that house in Greenwich. Once his startup takes off. Which startup is this? I ask. The fourth one. Fifth. You're just jealous, Jessica hisses. Some of us actually have ambition. I stand up so quickly my chair scrapes against the floor. Ambition. I worked through undergrad. I maintained a 4.0 GPA. I got into one of the top graduate programs in the country. But none of that matters because I'm not Jessica. Sit down, Father orders. You're being dramatic. Through the dining room window, I spot Grandpa's car pulling into the driveway. He's early to pick me up. Thank God. I have to go, I say, grabbing my bag. Enjoy planning the $60,000 party. June. Mother's voice stops me at the door. We just want what's best for you. Maybe it's time to be practical. Get a job, start building a real life instead of hiding in school. I turn back slowly. You know what? You're right. It is time to be practical. Time to accept that nothing I do will ever be enough for you. Because I'm not your real daughter, I'm just your regret. Mother's face goes white. What are you talking about? Ask Grandma about the letter, I say, and walk out. Grandpa's waiting in his old Volvo, radio playing soft jazz. One look at my face and he knows. Rough meeting. They're spending $60,000 just on the venue for Jessica's wedding. My voice shakes. But when I mentioned grad school. Already taken care of, he says quietly. Your grandmother and I set up a trust for your education years ago. We knew this day would come. I stare at him. But that's your retirement money. He chuckles. June, watching you succeed will be better than any retirement. Now, want to tell me what really happened in there? You look like you dropped quite a bomb. I mentioned the letter. My hands clench in my lap. I shouldn't have, but... Good. Good. Sometimes people need their comfortable lives disrupted. He puts the car in drive. Now, how about we go get some ice cream and talk about Columbia? As we pull away, I catch a glimpse of Mother watching from the window. For the first time, I don't feel the usual stab of guilt and longing. Instead, I feel something new taking root. something that tastes like freedom and burns like revenge. The mortgage documents scatter across my laptop screen like pieces of a puzzle I never wanted to solve. My hands shake as I scroll through the county records database, each click revealing another layer of my parents' financial desperation. Second mortgage. Home equity line of credit. Personal loans. All taken out within the last 3 months. All coinciding perfectly with Jessica's wedding preparations. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mother: "We need to discuss your attitude at the next wedding planning meeting." I ignore it, focusing instead on the numbers that don't lie. They've leveraged everything: the house, their retirement accounts, even Dad's life insurance policy, all for Jessica's perfect day. A knock at my bedroom door makes me jump. "Come in, Grandma." She enters with a cup of tea, her face creasing with concern when she sees my expression. "You found something." They're drowning themselves for her. I turn the laptop around. "Look at these numbers. They'll lose everything if anything goes wrong. If Michael's latest startup fails again, if Jessica decides she needs more," Grandma finishes, setting down the tea. "Your sister has always been very good at getting what she wants." My phone buzzes again. "Jessica, this time, Mom's really upset about what you said. You need to apologize." "I need to stop this," I say, standing up. "They're making a huge mistake." June. But I'm already grabbing my keys, anger propelling me forward. The drive to my parents' house takes 15 minutes. I rehearse what I'll say, how I'll make them see reason. They have to listen this time. I find them in the living room with Jessica and Michael, surrounded by wedding catalogs and champagne flutes. Mother's face hardens when she sees me. "We're in the middle of something," she says. "Yeah, you're in the middle of destroying yourselves." I pull up the mortgage documents on my phone. "Want to explain this?" Father stands up, his face flushing. "You had no right to look into our private affairs." "Private? It's public record. Just like the foreclosure will be when you can't make the payments." Jessica sets down her champagne. "What's she talking about?" "Nothing," Mother says quickly. June is just being dramatic again. "They've mortgaged everything," I say, looking directly at Jessica. "The house, their savings, everything, for your wedding." Michael shifts uncomfortably. "Jessica, maybe we should." "Shut up," she snaps at him before turning to our parents. "Is this true? Are you paying for everything?" "Of course we are," Mother says. "You deserve." "I thought Michael's family was contributing," Jessica's voice rises. "You said they were handling half." Michael stands up. "My parents can't. I mean, with the market being what it is." "You lied to me." Jessica's perfect facade cracks. "Both of you." "Sweetheart," Father starts. "Don't." She grabs her purse. "I can't believe this." "Michael, we're leaving." They storm out, leaving behind the heavy silence of unspoken truths. Mother turns to me, her eyes blazing. "Are you happy now? You've ruined everything." "I ruined it." "You're literally bankrupting yourselves for her fantasy wedding, and I'm the problem." "Get out," Father says quietly. "And don't come back until you're ready to apologize." I laugh, and it sounds strange even to my ears. Apologize? For what? Caring enough to try to stop you from destroying yourselves? For not being Jessica? That's enough. Mother stands up. I won't have you speaking to us this way in our home. Fine. I head for the door, then stop. But when this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crying to me. We would never, Mother says, her voice ice cold. You've made it very clear where your loyalties lie. I turn back one last time. My loyalties. That's rich coming from someone who regretted having me from the day I was born. The color drains from her face. Father looks between us, confused. Emily, he asks. What is she talking about? But I don't stay to watch that particular bomb detonate. I walk out, letting the door slam behind me. In my car, I sit for a long moment, hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Grandpa. Come home, June. We'll figure this out together. I start the engine, leaving behind the house that holds 22 years of rejection. It's time to stop trying to save people who never wanted to be saved in the first place. My Columbia acceptance letter sits on Grandpa's desk while he reviews my financial aid package. 2 weeks have passed since the confrontation, and the silence from my parents speaks volumes. Jessica's wedding has been postponed indefinitely, according to the Family Gossip Network. These numbers look good, Grandpa says, adjusting his reading glasses. With our savings and this scholarship. A knock at the front door interrupts him. Through the window, I spot Jessica's Mercedes in the driveway. I'll handle it, I tell him, but he shakes his head. Let her in. Sometimes the hardest conversations are the most necessary. Jessica looks smaller somehow, standing in Grandpa's study. Her designer outfit can't hide the shadows under her eyes or the way her hands keep fidgeting with her engagement ring. Michael left, she says without preamble. His startup was a scam. He took what was left of his trust fund and disappeared. I wait for the satisfaction to hit, but it doesn't come. I'm sorry. No, you're not. She sinks into a leather chair. You tried to warn everyone. God, what a mess. She looks at Grandpa. Did you know about Mom's letter? Helen showed it to me the day she received it, he says quietly. We made certain decisions that day about how to protect June. Jessica's laugh sounds hollow. Protect her. While I was being set up to fail. She turns to me. Do you know what it's like being the golden child? The pressure to be perfect. To never disappoint. Do you know what it's like being the disappointment? I counter. The one they never wanted in the first place. They're losing the house, she says abruptly. The bank called yesterday. Dad's been missing payments for months, even before my wedding plans. They've been in trouble for years, hiding it from everyone. The room seems to tilt slightly. What? They remortgaged everything trying to maintain appearances. My wedding was just the final straw. She pulls out her phone, shows me a series of texts. They're asking me to move back in with them, to help with payments. But I can't. I don't have anything left either. Grandpa clears his throat. What exactly are you asking for, Jessica? I don't know. She looks at me, really looks at me, maybe for the first time. Maybe to understand why they could never love us equally. Maybe to apologize for being part of it. Maybe. She trails off, staring at my acceptance letter. Maybe to warn you that they're planning to ask you for help. They know about your scholarship. My stomach churns. They what? Mom went through your mail before you moved out. She knows about the grant money. Jessica stands up. Don't give it to them, June. Don't let them do to you what they did to me. Jessica. I have to go. She heads for the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, I wish things had been different between us. Maybe they still can be. After she leaves, Grandpa and I sit in silence. The acceptance letter seems to mock me from his desk. They'll try to guilt you, he finally says. They'll say family helps family. They'll remind you of every sacrifice they never actually made. I know. The money in your education fund is legally yours. They can't touch it. I know that too. He leans forward. Then what's troubling you? I stare out the window, watching Jessica's taillights disappear down the street. What if revenge isn't what I thought it would be? What if letting them fail makes me just like them? There's a difference between revenge and self-preservation, he says. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them face the consequences of their choices. My phone buzzes, mother's number. I silence it without reading the message. I need to focus on school, I say finally. On building my own life. Yes, you do. He picks up the acceptance letter. And that's not revenge, June. That's survival. The phone buzzes again. This time, I turn it off completely. Tomorrow, I'll change my number. Tomorrow, I'll start packing for New York. Tomorrow, I'll begin writing my own story. But tonight, I let myself mourn the family I never really had, and celebrate the one that chose to love me anyway. The job offer from Goldman Sachs sits in my inbox like a golden ticket. 6 figures, signing bonus, everything I've worked toward at Columbia. My tiny apartment in Manhattan feels electric with possibility as I read through the details again. My phone rings, Jessica's number. We've spoken more in the past 6 months than in the previous 22 years. They're being evicted, she says without preamble. Next week. I minimize the job offer email. What happened to the payment plan? Failed. Like everything else. Her voice sounds thin, stretched. Dad's drinking now. Mom's talking about moving in with me, but I can barely afford my studio apartment. The cursor blinks on my screen, hovering over the accept offer button. I can't help them, Jess. I know. That's not why I called. She pauses. They're telling people you abandoned them. That you're hoarding your wealth while they suffer. They're even claiming grandma and grandpa turned you against them. My hand clenches around the phone. Of course they are. There's more. Mom's been calling your firm, trying to reach your future boss. Saying she needs to discuss her troubled daughter before they make a mistake hiring you. The room tilts slightly. Everything I've built, everything I've earned, suddenly feels fragile. June. You there? I have to go. I hang up, fingers already typing an email to HR. Better they hear it from me first. A knock at my door makes me jump. Through the peephole, I see Mother, looking smaller than I remember, but wearing her expensive coat like armor. I open the door but block the entrance. How did you find my address? Your grandmother. She tries to smile. May I come in? No. Her smile falters. I'm still your mother. Are you? Because mothers don't try to sabotage their children's careers. I was protecting you. She reaches for my arm. I step back. You're not ready for that kind of pressure. Come home. We can figure something out together. As a family. Family. I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. You mean like how you figured out Jessica's wedding? Or Dad's drinking? Or the house you're losing? We made mistakes. Her eyes fill with tears. But we love you. No, you love what I could do for you now. My job offer, my savings, that's what you love. She drops the act, her face hardening. You ungrateful. Don't. I pull out my phone, show her the email I just received. HR already knows about your calls. They've documented everything. One more attempt to contact them, and they'll file harassment charges. You would do that. To your own mother. You did this to yourself. I start closing the door. Just like everything else. If you close that door, you'll regret it, she says quietly. Family is all we have in the end. I look at her, really look at her, and for the first time, I see her clearly. The designer coat that's probably unpaid for. The desperate calculation behind her tears. The woman who wrote that letter 22 years ago, regretting my existence. No, I say. Family is what we choose. And I choose not to be your backup plan. I close the door on her protests, then slide down against it until I'm sitting on the floor. My phone buzzes with a text from Grandma. Your mother just left our house. Are you okay? Before I can respond, another email notification pops up. Goldman Sachs HR, regarding recent events. My hands shake as I open it, expecting the worst. Instead, I find support. They're increasing security at the office. They've documented everything. The position is still mine if I want it. I stand up, legs steady now, and walk to my window. 6 stories below, I watch Mother get into a taxi, already on her phone, probably moving on to her next potential savior. I click accept offer on the job email, then text Jessica, I'm okay. Are you? Her response comes quickly, getting there. Thanks for asking. And June. I'm proud of you. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates finding their final resting place. I've spent years trying to earn love that was never freely given. Now it's time to build something new, something honest, something mine. Starting with saying yes to my future, and goodbye to their past. The foreclosure notice arrives on my desk at Goldman Sachs via courier. Not email, not regular mail, hand-delivered, like a gauntlet thrown. My parents' house goes up for auction in 48 hours. I stare at the bank's letterhead, my fingers tracing the embossed logo. I could stop this. One phone call to the right person, one transfer from my bonus account, and they'd have another chance. My office phone rings. Jessica. They're sleeping in their car, she says. Dad's drinking worse than ever. Mom won't stop crying. I close my eyes. Where are you? Working double shifts at the diner. It's all I could find after. She trails off. After Michael took everything. After the wedding fell apart. After our parents' facade finally crumbled. I'll handle it, I hear myself say. June, no. You can't. I hang up. My computer screen shows my investment portfolio, the fruits of 2 years at Goldman. More than enough for a down payment on a modest house. Not their old one, but something sustainable. Grandpa answers on the first ring. Don't do it. You don't know what I'm planning. I know that look in your eyes. I can hear it in your voice. He sighs. Some people need to hit bottom before they can rebuild. They're sleeping in their car. And whose fault is that? My hand clenches around the phone. I can't just let them. Like they let you struggle. Like they let you feel unwanted for 22 years. This is different. Yes, he says quietly. Because you're better than they are. I pull up the real estate listings I've been secretly browsing. 3-bedroom ranch house. Good neighborhood. Within their means, if they'd actually try. I have to try, I tell him. One last time. He's silent for a long moment. Then do it with your eyes open. And protect yourself. I make the calls. Sign the papers. Set up the trust so they can't sell or refinance without my approval. Within hours, I'm standing in front of them in a McDonald's parking lot, where they've been living out of their Mercedes. Mother's mascara is smeared. Father won't meet my eyes. I hold out the keys. It's yours if you want it, I say. But there are conditions. Conditions. Mother's voice cracks. We're your parents. Exactly. And that's why there are conditions. I pull out the contract. No refinancing. No loans. Dad gets help for the drinking. You both get jobs, real jobs, not pyramid schemes or startups. Father finally looks at me. Who do you think you are? The daughter you never wanted. The one who succeeded anyway. I set the keys and contract on their hood. Take it or leave it. Mother reaches for the keys, but father knocks them away. They skitter across the pavement. We don't need your charity, he spits. Robert, mother hisses. Think about. No. He straightens up, swaying slightly. She thinks she's better than us. Thinks she can buy us like some kind of investment. I finish for him. No. This isn't an investment. It's a test. A test? Mother asks. To see if you can actually be parents. To see if you can put someone else first for once. I pick up the keys. But I guess I have my answer. June, please, mother reaches for me. We can change. Can you? I look at father, still glaring, still proud even in his defeat. At mother, calculating even through her tears. Prove it. Get help. Get jobs. Show me you're actually trying. Then we'll talk about the house. I walk away, their protests fading behind me. In my car, I rest my head against the steering wheel, feeling the weight of their failure, and mine. I wanted to save them. Wanted to prove I was better, stronger, more capable. But some people don't want to be saved. They just want to drag you down with them. My phone buzzes. A text from Jessica. They told me what you tried to do. Thank you for trying. And thank you for not giving in. I start the car, the house keys heavy in my pocket. Maybe salvation isn't about grand gestures or proving points. Maybe it's about knowing when to walk away, even when it breaks your heart. Especially then. 2 weeks after my failed attempt to help them, mother calls with news that makes my blood freeze. We found a house. The bank approved our loan application. I know it's impossible. Their credit is destroyed. Unless the property records confirm my suspicion. They used my name. My credit. My identity. I stand in their new driveway now, watching guests arrive for their housewarming party. Mother's already redecorated, hanging her precious crystal chandelier in the foyer. Through the window, I see familiar faces, family friends, colleagues, all here to celebrate their miraculous recovery. Jessica meets me at the door, her face tight. They're telling everyone you gave them the house as a gift. That you begged them to accept it. Where did they get my information? Mom still had your old documents from when you lived at home. She hands me a glass of wine. I tried to stop them, but nothing. I down the wine in one gulp. Where are they? They're holding court in the living room, mother glowing as she describes their wonderful daughter's generosity. Father. Sober for the first time in months, nodding along. June. Mother spreads her arms wide. Everyone, here's our guardian angel. The room turns to me, faces beaming. I feel their expectations like a noose. Tell them, I say quietly. Mother's smile falters. Tell them what, darling? Tell them how you forged my signature. How you stole my identity to get this loan. The room goes silent. Someone's glass hits the floor with a crash. June, father steps forward. You're confused. We discussed this. No. I pull out my phone, show the screen. I just got off the phone with the bank's fraud department. They have the paperwork. They have the security footage of you both signing my name. Mother's face hardens. We had no choice. You abandoned us. Abandoned you. I offered to help. I gave you a chance. A chance. She laughs bitterly. You wanted to control us. To make us beg. Just like you've always done, playing the victim. I found the letter, I cut her off. The one you wrote to Grandma when I was born. About regretting me. The color drains from her face. Father looks confused. What letter? Oh, you didn't know. I turned to him. Your wife wrote to Grandma saying what a mistake I was. How perfect life was before I came along. I face Mother again. Is that why you did this? One final attempt to prove I'm the mistake. Emily. Father's voice shakes. Is this true? It was postpartum depression, she stammers. I didn't mean. Like you didn't mean to steal my identity. I pull out another document. The police are already involved. They'll be here within the hour. You wouldn't, Mother whispers. We're your parents. No. You're criminals who happen to share my DNA. I look around the room at the shocked faces. Everyone out. Now. They file out quietly, leaving behind half-empty glasses and uneaten hors d'oeuvres. Jessica stays, standing by the door. You did it, she says softly. You finally stood up to them. Mother collapses onto the sofa, tears streaming. Father just stares at the wall, shoulders slumped. The police will be here soon, I tell them. You can either leave now, or wait for them. Your choice. Where would we go? Mother asks. That's not my problem anymore. I head for the door, then stop. The letter you wrote. You were right about one thing. Life would have been perfect without me in it. Just not for the reasons you thought. I walk out into the cool evening air, leaving behind the sound of Mother's sobs and Father's broken silence. Jessica follows me to my car. What happens now? She asks. Now? I look back at the house, at the crystal chandelier casting shadows through the window. Now I finally stop trying to fix what was never meant to be fixed. Police sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. I get in my car, roll down the window. You coming? Jessica glances back at the house, then slides into the passenger seat. We drive away as red and blue lights paint the street behind us, illuminating the end of one story and the beginning of another. The real estate agent's heels click against the empty hardwood floors of what was briefly my parents' house. After their arrest, the bank agreed to let me sell it rather than foreclose, one final act of cleanup in a mess I didn't create. The offers are all above asking, she says, shuffling papers. The market's hot right now. I nod, walking through rooms still bearing ghost marks of Mother's decorating attempts. The crystal chandelier is gone, sold to pay for their legal fees. Jessica helped me pack up what little remained, both of us silent as we boxed away the fragments of our broken family. My phone buzzes, a text from Grandma, found something else in the attic you should see. Come by when you're done. I'll take the highest offer, I tell the agent. Rush the closing. She beams. I'll draw up the paperwork right away. Standing alone in the empty living room, I remember Mother's tears, Father's silence, the police lights painting the walls. Their court date is next week. Jessica's planning to testify about years of financial manipulation. I submitted my statement in writing, my final words to the people who gave me life but never gave me love. The doorbell rings. Jessica stands on the porch, holding a cardboard box. Found these at their storage unit, she says, setting it down. Thought you should have them. Inside are photo albums I've never seen. Pictures of me as a baby, dozens of them. Mother holding me in the hospital, actually smiling. Father teaching me to walk. Birthday parties I barely remember. There's more, Jessica says quietly. Letters Mom wrote but never sent. To you, to Grandma. They tell a different story. It doesn't change anything. No, she agrees. But maybe it makes it more complicated. I close the box. I'm selling the house. After their legal fees and restitution, there might be something left. Keep it, she says. Put it toward your future. I've got a job interview next week, a real one, at an accounting firm. Time I stood on my own feet too. The real estate agent returns with contracts. As I sign, Jessica watches from the doorway. You know what's weird, she says later as we walk to our cars. I always thought you were the lucky one. You had the strength to break free. To build something real. I had help. Grandma and Grandpa. No. She touches my arm. You had something inside you. Something they couldn't break. At our grandparents' house, Grandma hands me an envelope, yellow with age. Inside is another letter from Mother, dated just after my first birthday. Dear Mom. I was wrong about June. The regret I felt. It wasn't about her. It was about me. My fears. My inadequacies. She deserves better than what I can give her. Maybe one day she'll understand that the problem was never her, it was always me. I just hope she grows up stronger than I am. Love. Emily. She never sent this one either, Grandma says softly. Would it have made a difference if she had? Perhaps not. But it shows that even the darkest stories have other pages we don't see. I fold the letter carefully, place it in the box with the others. Not to keep, but to remind me that the truth is rarely simple, and healing rarely complete. The house sold, I tell her. Above asking price. She smiles. And what will you do with your share? I think about the startup I've been secretly planning. About the investment strategies I've developed at Goldman. About all the things I learned watching my parents destroy themselves with debt and desperation. I'm going to build something, I say. Something that helps people understand money before it destroys them. Something that might have made a difference, if we'd known sooner. Grandma hugs me, and I breathe in her familiar lavender scent. Then you've learned the most valuable lesson of all, she whispers. How to turn pain into purpose. Outside, the setting sun paints the sky in shades of possibility. Jessica's car is still in the driveway, she and Grandpa are probably discussing her job interview. We're building something new from the ashes of what burned. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not yet. But maybe something stronger, the understanding that while we can't choose how our story begins, we absolutely can choose how it continues.
Success tastes like expensive wine and spite. I was savoring both when my mother's number lit up my phone screen for the first time in 3 years. The Chateau Lafite Rothschild 2010, a gift to myself for landing the Peterson account, suddenly tasted like vinegar in my mouth. Hey story lovers. Quick check-in, which part of the globe are you tuning in from? Drop your location below. If you're new and like what you hear, join us by subscribing. Now, let's continue. I'm Lola, and I've spent a decade building a life that doesn't include my family. The irony of their timing never fails to amaze me. They only remember I exist when their golden child, my sister Megan, creates another catastrophe they can't handle. Lola, please don't hang up. Mother's voice cracked, lacking its usual polished control. It's about Megan. And Lucy. My 9-year-old niece's name made my finger pause over the end call button. Lucy, the only innocent player in our family's twisted game of favorites. What has she done now? The words came out sharp enough to cut. She's gone. Just gone. Left Lucy with us 3 days ago, said she was running to the store. A sob caught in her throat. Her phone's disconnected. The apartment manager said she cleared out last week. Lucy keeps asking when her mommy's coming back, and I don't know what to tell her. The wine glass trembled in my hand. I set it down before I could give in to the urge to throw it against the wall. And naturally, you're calling me to clean up her mess. Again. You've always been the responsible one. Funny how I'm suddenly responsible when you need something. Where was that recognition when I graduated top of my class? Or when I made partner at 30? The bitter words tumbled out before I could stop them. Please, Lola. This isn't about us. Lucy needs us. There hasn't been an us since you and Dad shipped me off to live with Grandma Eleanor and Grandpa George when I was 12. Because Megan needed more attention. The silence on the other end spoke volumes. We both knew the truth. They'd chosen Megan, always Megan, until they'd effectively orphaned their younger daughter. Your father and I. We can't handle Lucy right now. We're not as young as we used to be, and with your father's heart condition. I laughed, a hollow sound that echoed in my empty penthouse. Of course. And Megan knew that, didn't she? She knew exactly what she was doing, dropping Lucy with you. Because eventually, you'd have to call me. More silence. Then, will you at least come see Lucy? She asks about you sometimes. The knife twisted deeper. I'd stayed away to protect myself, but in doing so, I'd abandoned Lucy to the same toxic environment I'd escaped. My wine glass caught the light, blood-red liquid casting shadows on my white marble countertop. The same color as the dress Megan wore to Dad's 65th birthday party last year, the one I wasn't invited to, but saw pictures of on Facebook. I'll come tomorrow, I said finally. But not for you or Dad. And certainly not for Megan. Thank you, Lola. We're at. I remember the address, Mother. Some things you can't forget, no matter how hard you try. I ended the call and stared at my reflection in the window. The city lights blurred behind my image, creating a halo effect that made me look like I was burning. Maybe I was. 3 years of carefully constructed peace, shattered by one phone call. But this time would be different. This time, I wasn't the powerless 12-year-old they could push aside. This time, I had resources, influence, and most importantly, nothing left to lose. I picked up my wine glass and raised it to my reflection. Well, Megan, I whispered, you finally did it. You finally gave me the perfect reason to destroy you. The wine tasted sweet again. The familiar crunch of gravel under my tires felt like bones breaking. Our family home hadn't changed, same peeling white paint, same crooked shutters, same suffocating air of disappointment. Mother stood on the porch, wearing her favorite pearl necklace like armor. You didn't have to dress up, she said, eyeing my Armani suit. It's just family. This isn't a family reunion, Mother. This is a crisis management meeting. I brushed past her, the scent of her signature Chanel making my stomach turn. Where's Lucy? Upstairs in Megan's old room. She wrung her hands. She's been so quiet. Of course they'd put her in Megan's room. The shrine to the golden child, preserved like a museum exhibit. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my heels striking each step like a judge's gavel. Lucy sat cross-legged on Megan's old bed, surrounded by teenage photos of her mother. Small, pale, drowning in an oversized sweater I recognized as one of Megan's cast-offs. She looked up, and for a moment, I saw myself at 12, lost, confused, wondering why I wasn't enough. Aunt Lola. Her voice was barely a whisper. Hey, kiddo. I kept my distance, not wanting to spook her. Rough week? She nodded, clutching a photo frame. They keep saying Mom will come back, but... Her lower lip trembled. She packed all our stuff last week. Said we were moving somewhere better. Then she brought me here and... The rage I'd been containing threatened to explode. Megan hadn't just abandoned her daughter, she'd planned it, calculated it. Executed it with the same precision she'd used to manipulate our family for years. Lucy, would you like to? There you are. Father's voice boomed from the doorway. Still making dramatic entrances, I see. I turned slowly, meeting his gaze. He'd aged, but his eyes still held that mixture of disappointment and dismissal I remembered so well. Hello, Father. Still making excuses for Megan, I see. Now, Lola, you don't understand the pressure she's been under. Pressure. I laughed, sharp and cold. Like the pressure of raising a child alone. The pressure of maintaining a job. Or just the pressure of basic human decency. Your sister is gone. I cut him off. Again. And instead of acknowledging that she's abandoned her child, you're standing there defending her. Some things never change. Mother appeared behind him, clutching her pearls. We just need to give her time. She always comes back. And that makes it okay. I gestured to Lucy, who had shrunk further into herself. Look at her. Really look. Does she look like a child who just needs to give her mother time? They both glanced at Lucy, then quickly away, the same way they used to look at me. Like my pain was an inconvenience to their perfect family narrative. We've been thinking, Mother said carefully, perhaps Lucy could stay with Eleanor and George for a while. They did such a good job with you. The words hit like a slap. You mean like when you shipped me off because Megan needed more attention? Because dealing with 2 children was too much work? That's not fair. No, what's not fair is history repeating itself. I moved to stand between them and Lucy. But this time, it's going to be different. Father's face darkened. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Lucy's coming home with me. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucy's head snapped up, hope and fear warring in her eyes. You can't, Mother started. I can, and I will. Unless you prefer I contact Child Protective Services. I'm sure they'd be very interested in how Megan abandoned her daughter after systematically emptying their apartment. Father stepped forward, his authority card ready to play. Now listen here. No, you listen. I pulled out my phone. 1 call. That's all it takes. Your choice. They exchanged glances, the same silent communication I remembered from childhood, the weighing of options. The calculation of what would cause the least damage to their precious reputation. Finally, Mother nodded stiffly. Perhaps. Perhaps it would be best. Just until Megan returns. Of course, I smiled, all teeth and triumph. Just until Megan returns. Behind me, Lucy released a shaky breath. I didn't turn around. I couldn't let her see the darkness in my eyes, the satisfaction of finally having the upper hand. Because Megan wasn't coming back. Not until I was ready for her to face what she'd done, to Lucy, to me, to all of us. And when that time came, I'd be ready. Lucy's bedroom in my penthouse still had that new paint smell when I found the first letter. 3 days of living together, and already the secrets were surfacing, hidden between the clothes Megan had packed for her daughter. I thought you might want to read this, Lucy said, holding out a crumpled envelope. Her small fingers trembled. Mom wrote it before she left. The paper felt like poison in my hands. Megan's flowing script covered both sides, a masterpiece of manipulation addressed to our parents. "They're going to take everything from me," I read aloud, my voice growing colder with each word. "Lucy's trust fund, my inheritance, all of it. I have to disappear for a while, just until I can fix this. Don't let them turn Lucy against me." Lucy hugged herself, drowning in one of my old Harvard sweatshirts. "What trust fund?" I folded the letter carefully, my mind racing. "When did you last see Grandma Eleanor and Grandpa George?" "Never." Lucy's answer hit like a sledgehammer. "Mom always said they didn't want to see us. That they were mad at her for having me so young." The laugh that escaped me wasn't kind. "Of course she did." I pulled out my phone, scrolling through recent calls. "Lucy, how would you like to meet them today?" Her eyes widened. "Really? Really? But first." I dialed my private investigator. "Marcus. I need everything you can find on my sister's finances for the past 9 years. Focus on any accounts in Lucy's name." Eleanor and George's house smelled like cinnamon and safety, just as it had when I was 12. Lucy pressed against my side as we walked up the familiar path, her grip on my hand almost painful. "Lola." Eleanor appeared in the doorway, her silver hair gleaming in the afternoon light. Her eyes fixed on Lucy, and tears welled immediately. "Oh my God." "Surprise," I said dryly. "Meet your great-granddaughter. The one Megan told you didn't want to know you." George appeared behind his wife, his weathered face darkening with understanding. "Come inside, both of you. There's something you need to see." In their study, George pulled out a thick folder. "We've been trying to reach Megan for years. After Lucy was born, we set up a trust fund for her education. Your grandfather and I both come from old money, Lola. You know this." I nodded. My own trust fund had helped build my consulting firm. "We did the same for Lucy," Eleanor continued, her voice tight. "But every time we tried to contact Megan, she'd moved. Changed numbers. The lawyers couldn't find her." "How much?" The question burned my throat. George named a figure that made my blood freeze. "It becomes accessible when Lucy turns 18, or in case of emergency, like abandonment by a parent." Lucy's grip on my hand tightened. "Is that why Mom left? Because of money?" "No, sweetheart," I said, the pieces finally clicking into place. "She left because she couldn't access it. But I bet she's been trying." Eleanor moved to her desk, pulling out more papers. "The trust requires annual audits. Last month, we discovered someone tried to forge documents claiming Lucy was living with a legal guardian, your mother, Lola. The signatures were obviously fake." "When was this?" 3 weeks ago." The timeline aligned perfectly. Megan's disappearance, Lucy's carefully packed bags, the letter meant to manipulate our parents into compliance. She'd tried to steal Lucy's future and failed. "I have copies of everything," George said quietly. "Including proof that Megan attempted fraud." Lucy's small voice cut through the tension. "What happens to me now?" I knelt before her, seeing my own childhood pain reflected in her eyes. "That depends on you, kiddo. But I promise you one thing, your mother won't get to hurt you again. Or take my money." "No." I brushed her hair back, my voice hardening. "She won't take anything else from you." Eleanor and George exchanged looks loaded with understanding. They'd watched me rebuild myself after my family's betrayal. Now they'd help me protect Lucy from the same fate. My phone buzzed, "Marcus," with preliminary findings. The message made my lips curl into a predatory smile. "Lucy," I said softly, "how about we get some ice cream with your great-grandparents? We have 18 years of memories to start making up for." And while we did that, I'd start building the trap that would ensure Megan could never harm her daughter again. Because some debts can only be paid in revenge, served cold and calculated, with compound interest. Marcus's report landed in my inbox at 3 in the morning, its contents burning through my carefully constructed plans like acid. I stared at my laptop screen, the glow casting shadows across my home office while Lucy slept down the hall. "You're sure about this?" I asked during our emergency video call. Marcus nodded, his tired face serious. 6 different identities in the past 9 years. Each time, she'd establish credit, take out loans using Lucy's social security number, then vanish. The pattern's consistent. And the most recent. 2 weeks before she left Lucy with your parents. She took out a $100,000 loan using forged guardianship papers. The money's already gone. I closed my eyes, remembering Lucy's threadbare clothes, the way she'd marveled at having her own bathroom in my penthouse. Where did it go? That's the interesting part. Marcus's typing echoed through the speakers. Wire transfers to an offshore account, then scattered withdrawals across 3 states. But here's what caught my attention, there's a pattern to her movements. She's not running away. She's circling back. My phone buzzed, a text from Mother, Megan called. Says she's sorry. Wants to make things right. Of course she did. The trust fund fraud had failed, but Lucy was still her meal ticket. I switched off my phone without responding. A small sound at the door made me freeze. Lucy stood there in her oversized pajamas, holding the stuffed rabbit Eleanor had given her. I had a bad dream. I closed the laptop. Want to talk about it? She padded over, climbing into my lap like she belonged there. Maybe she did. Mom came back. She was angry that I told you about the letter. She said I ruined everything. My arms tightened around her. Lucy, look at me. Your mother. A crash downstairs cut me off. The security system hadn't chimed, which meant whoever entered had the code. Only 5 people had that code, and 3 of them were asleep across town. Stay here, I whispered, moving Lucy behind my desk. Lock the door after me. Don't open it unless you hear me say, Harvard sweater. The hallway was dark, but I knew every inch of my home. I moved silently, following the sound of someone rummaging through my kitchen. The spare key was always under the rose bush, Megan's voice drifted up. Some things never change, little sister. I flicked on the lights. She stood at my kitchen island, looking expensive in a way that made my blood boil. Designer clothes bought with stolen money, Lucy's money. You look well for someone who's been on the run, I said coldly. Not running. Strategic retreat. She smiled, the same smile that had charmed our parents for decades. Where's my daughter? Safe. Unlike her social security number. Her smile flickered. I don't know what you're talking about. 6 identities, Megan. 6 cities where you destroyed Lucy's future before she could even have one. Did you think no one would find out? You always were dramatic. She waved dismissively. I did what I had to do. Lucy understands. Lucy understands that her mother used her as a human credit card. My voice could have frozen hell. She understands that while she wore second-hand clothes and went hungry, you were living like royalty on stolen money. I'm her mother. You're a thief. And now you're a trespasser. I pulled out my phone. Leave, or I call the police. Your choice. She moved closer, dropping her voice. Mother and father won't let you keep her. They know I'm the better parent. I just need time to. To what? Steal more of her money. Forge more documents. I laughed harshly. Eleanor and George know everything, Megan. The trust fund fraud, the loans, all of it. You've lost. The mask cracked. For a moment, I saw the real Megan, desperate, cornered, dangerous. You bitch. You've always been jealous. Aunt Lola. Lucy's voice from the stairs made us both turn. She stood there, small but straight-backed, clutching her rabbit. I called the police. They're on their way. Megan's face contorted. Lucy, baby, you don't understand. I understand that you stole from me. Lucy's voice shook but held firm. And I want you to leave. The sirens in the distance made Megan's decision for her. She grabbed her bag, pausing at the door. This isn't over. No, I agreed, watching her flee into the night. It's just beginning. Lucy's hand slipped into mine. I'm sorry I didn't stay in the office. I squeezed her fingers. Don't be. Sometimes the best revenge is simply standing your ground. The sirens grew closer, and with them, my resolve strengthened. Megan was right about one thing, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The temporary custody papers felt heavy in my hands as I watched Lucy sleep on Eleanor's couch. 3 weeks since Megan's midnight visit, and the world had shifted on its axis. My phone buzzed, another message from Mother, their 5th today. They're getting desperate, Eleanor said, setting down 2 cups of tea. Henry called George this morning. Apparently, Megan's lawyer contacted them. What lawyer? The paper crinkled in my tightening grip. The one claiming you kidnapped Lucy. Eleanor's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Your father threatened to support Megan's custody claim unless you see reason. A laugh escaped me, bitter as burnt coffee. Reason? Like when they sent me away because it was reasonable for Megan to have more attention. Lucy stirred, mumbling in her sleep. The bruise-like shadows under her eyes had finally started to fade, but now this. My phone lit up again, an email from Marcus. Security footage from my building's lobby, timestamped last night. I watched Megan escort our parents inside, all 3 of them talking to the doorman. My stomach turned to ice. They're building a case, I said, showing Eleanor the footage. Making it look like I'm keeping Lucy from her loving family. Then we build a better one. Eleanor pulled out a thick manila envelope. George and I have been gathering evidence since that night. Bank records, loan applications, school reports showing Lucy's frequent absences. A key turned in the front door. George entered, his face grim. Lola, we have a problem. Henry's filing for emergency guardianship of Lucy. Claims you're emotionally unstable, seeking revenge against Megan by taking her daughter. The irony burned like acid. And Megan's fraud? The stolen money? They're calling it desperate measures of a struggling single mother. He sat heavily. Your parents are backing her story. Lucy whimpered in her sleep, curling tighter around her rabbit. The sight of her, so small, so vulnerable, made something snap inside me. Call Judge Matthews, I told Eleanor. The one who helped with my emancipation. Tell her it's urgent. Lola, George started. No. I stood, my voice barely above a whisper. They took my childhood. They will not take hers. My phone rang, Mother's number. This time, I answered. We're in your lobby, she said without preamble. Security won't let us up without your approval. Please, Lola. Let's discuss this as a family. Family? The word tasted like poison. Like when you discussed sending me away. Or when you discussed letting Megan steal Lucy's future. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're here because Megan needs something. Again. And you're enabling her. Again. She's changed. No, Mother. I've changed. I watched Lucy sleep, peaceful for the first time in weeks. Tell Megan her lawyer can contact mine. And tell father his threats mean nothing. I have copies of every check he wrote to cover Megan's fraudulent loans. Silence crackled over the line. Then, you wouldn't. Try me. I learned from the best, after all. Megan's not the only one who knows how to play games. Eleanor touched my arm, showing me her phone. A text from Judge Matthews, bring everything tomorrow. 9 a.m. It's not too late, Mother pleaded. We can fix this. Be a family again. Through the window, I could see them in the lobby, Mother, Father, and Megan, looking up at Eleanor's apartment. The perfect family portrait, missing only their discarded daughter and stolen granddaughter. You're right, I said softly. It's not too late. For Lucy. I ended the call, turning to Eleanor. How long until the emergency custody hearing? 3 days. She squeezed my hand. Are you ready for what comes next? Lucy stirred again, this time opening her eyes. Aunt Lola. Are they here? I moved to her side, smoothing her hair. Yes, but they can't hurt you anymore. I promise. Like you promised about the Harvard sweater. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Exactly like that. I met Eleanor's eyes over Lucy's head. Some promises you keep no matter what. Even if keeping them meant burning every bridge behind you. Even if it meant becoming the villain in their story to be the hero in hers. The war for Lucy's future had begun. And this time, I wasn't the powerless child they could discard. This time, I was ready. The courthouse bathroom mirror reflected a woman I barely recognized. 3 hours into the emergency custody hearing, and Megan's performance had been flawless, tears, remorse, promises of change. The perfect prodigal daughter, with our parents nodding supportively from the gallery. My phone vibrated, Marcus. Bad news. The offshore account's empty. She must have moved the money again. The paper towel shredded in my hands. Without the money trail, proving Megan's fraud became exponentially harder. She'd planned this, timed it perfectly. Just like when we were kids. The bathroom door creaked open. Hiding won't help your case. Megan's voice dripped false concern. Lucy needs her mother. Like she needed you when you were emptying her college fund. I turned slowly. Or when you were using her social security number for loans. Prove it. She smiled, checking her mascara in the mirror. Oh wait, you can't. Funny how evidence disappears, isn't it? What do you want, Megan? Drop the custody case. Tell the judge you overreacted. She reapplied her lipstick, perfect coral pink. I'll let you see Lucy sometimes. Maybe holidays. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, matching the ringing in my ears. You're not getting her trust fund. No. She capped her lipstick. Mother and father are very concerned about your mental state. Your obsession with revenge. The way you've poisoned Lucy against me. Her smile widened. The judge seems quite sympathetic. The door opened again. Lucy stood there, small and pale in her navy dress. Aunt Lola. They're calling us back in. Megan moved toward her daughter. Baby, come here. Lucy stepped back, pressing against my side. The gesture wasn't lost on Megan. Her mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something ugly underneath. See, she hissed. This is exactly what I mean. You've turned her against me. The courtroom felt colder when we returned. Judge Matthews' expression gave nothing away as she reviewed the new documents Megan's lawyer had submitted. Your Honor, Megan's lawyer stood, we have evidence that Miss Crawford has been systematically alienating Lucy from her mother and grandparents. Text messages, emails, witness statements. My lawyer objected, but I barely heard him. I was watching Lucy, sitting between Eleanor and George. She looked so much like I did at 12, waiting for adults to decide her fate. Furthermore, the lawyer continued, Miss Crawford's fixation on alleged financial improprieties suggests a concerning pattern of behavior. Her own grandparents had to take her in as a child due to similar unfounded accusations against her sister. The old rage rose like bile. They were rewriting history again, turning me into the villain of their story. Just like before. Your Honor, I stood, ignoring my lawyer's warning hand. I request a brief recess. In the hallway, Eleanor grabbed my arm. Lola, don't. I have to. I pulled away, heading for the courthouse steps where reporters had gathered. Megan wanted to play dirty. Fine. My phone felt heavy as I dialed Marcus's number. Release everything. Lola, think about everything, Marcus. The bank records, the loan applications, the school reports. Send it all to every news outlet waiting outside. Now. I ended the call, turning to find Lucy standing behind me. I'm sorry, she whispered. I heard what Mom said in the bathroom. My carefully constructed plans crumbled. In trying to protect Lucy, I was dragging her into exactly the kind of public spectacle I'd wanted to avoid. Your Honor. Megan's voice rang out from the courthouse doors. See? She's trying to manipulate the media. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Reporters surged forward, cameras flashing. Lucy flinched, and in that moment, I saw myself making the same mistake our parents had, putting adult vendettas above a child's well-being. Judge Matthews appeared in the doorway, her face thunderous. Miss Crawford, return to my courtroom immediately. Lucy's hand found mine as cameras continued clicking. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too, I whispered, leading her back inside. Because for the first time, I realized revenge might cost me the very thing I was fighting to protect. And Megan knew it. Her triumphant smile said everything, checkmate, little sister. Just like always. Judge Matthews' chambers felt like a tomb. The morning headlines screamed across her desk, family fortune at center of custody battle, sister versus sister. The fight for Lucy, fraud allegations rock prominent family. Explain this. The judge tapped Marcus's full report, delivered to every major news outlet yesterday. Now. Before I could speak, the door burst open. Megan stormed in, followed by our parents and both lawyers. Your Honor, this is exactly what we. Sit down, Miss Crawford. Judge Matthews' voice could have frozen hell. All of you. Now. Lucy's school records lay open on the desk, dozens of absences, sudden withdrawals, missing parent signatures. Next to them, bank statements showed a pattern of deposits and withdrawals that made my stomach turn. These records, the judge continued, show systematic financial abuse spanning 9 years. Miss Crawford, Megan, would you care to explain why your daughter's social security number appears on loans in 6 different states? Megan's mask slipped. I had no choice. Lucy's trust fund is untouchable until she's 18. Eleanor's voice cut through the room as she and George entered. We made sure of that after we saw what you did to Lola's college fund. Mother gasped. Father's face darkened. What are you talking about? The money you thought Lola spent. George's voice was steel. Megan borrowed it. With forged signatures. Just like she's been doing with Lucy's identity. That's a lie. Megan stood, desperate. They're all lying. Mother, Father, you know I wouldn't. Sit down. Judge Matthews pointed to a manila envelope. This arrived this morning. Care to explain why you were attempting to access Lucy's trust fund just yesterday? With forged guardianship papers. The room tilted. Yesterday, while she was playing grieving mother in court, she'd been trying to steal Lucy's future. Again. I needed it for Lucy, Megan's voice cracked. Everything I did was for her. Like abandoning her. The words escaped before I could stop them. Like using her identity to fund your lifestyle while she wore second-hand clothes. At least I didn't turn her against her family. No, you just sold her future to the highest bidder. Enough. Judge Matthews slammed her hand down. Where is Lucy now? With the court counselor, my lawyer answered. As requested. The judge nodded. Bring her in. I think it's time we heard from Lucy herself. Lucy entered, clutching her rabbit. Her eyes darted between Megan and me, then fixed on the judge. Lucy, Judge Matthews said gently, do you understand what's happening here? Yes. Her voice was small but steady. You're deciding if I stay with Aunt Lola or go with Mom. And what do you want? Megan leaned forward, her most winning smile in place. Baby, you know Mommy loves. Miss Crawford, one more word and I'll have you removed. The judge turned back to Lucy. Go on, sweetheart. Lucy's fingers twisted in her rabbit's fur. Last week, Mom came to my school. She said if I went with her, we'd have lots of money. That we could buy anything we wanted. Her voice shook. But she wanted me to sign some papers first. The room went deadly quiet. What kind of papers, Lucy? The judge asked. Bank papers. She said. She said if I signed them, we could get my college money now instead of later. Lucy's eyes met mine. But Aunt Lola always says education is the one thing nobody can take from you. Megan lunged forward. She's lying. Lucy, tell them you're lying. Security. Judge Matthews called sharply. As guards entered, Megan's composure shattered completely. You ungrateful little, after everything I've done. Mother, father, tell them. But our parents sat frozen, finally seeing their golden child for what she was. Your Honor, my lawyer stood, given these revelations. Indeed. The judge's eyes were flint. Bailiff, please take Miss Crawford into custody pending charges of identity theft and attempted fraud. As for custody. She looked at Lucy, then at me. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. Don't you agree, Miss Crawford? I met Megan's eyes as the bailiff approached. For once, I didn't see my perfect older sister. I saw a stranger who'd finally run out of second chances. Lucy's hand slipped into mine as Megan was led away, our parents' stunned silence worth more than any victory speech. Sometimes justice comes not with a bang, but with the quiet triumph of truth finally heard. The Harvard acceptance letter trembled in Lucy's hands. I got in, she whispered, then louder, Aunt Lola, I got in. I caught her in a fierce hug, remembering a smaller version of her clutching a stuffed rabbit. Now 16, she stood nearly as tall as me, her dreams intact despite everything Megan had tried to steal. Of course you did. Eleanor's voice cracked with pride. She and George had insisted on being here for this moment, just as they'd been there for every important milestone since the custody battle. My phone buzzed, Mother's number. The same call she made every month, seeking reconciliation, promising change. I declined it, just like always. Mom's hearing is next week, Lucy said quietly, setting the letter down. They want me to testify at her parole board meeting. The words hung heavy in the air. 7 years into her sentence for fraud and identity theft, Megan was making another bid for freedom. Another attempt to rewrite history. You don't have to go, I reminded her. I know. Lucy traced the Harvard crest on her acceptance package. But I think I want to. Not for her. For me. Understanding clicked into place. Lucy wasn't that frightened 9-year-old anymore, just as I was no longer the angry sister seeking revenge. We'd both grown beyond the roles Megan had tried to force us into. I'll go with you, I offered. We all will, George added, his hand finding Eleanor's. The parole hearing room felt smaller than I remembered. Megan sat at the front, prison pale but still beautiful, still wearing manipulation like perfume. Our parents sat behind her, older, grayer, but still choosing her side even after everything. Lucy stepped up to the podium, her voice steady. My mother taught me something valuable, she began. She taught me that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about choice. Megan's perfect mask cracked slightly. Every day, we choose who we want to be, Lucy continued. 7 years ago, my aunt chose to protect me instead of seeking revenge. She chose to build something new instead of destroying something broken. I felt Eleanor's hand slip into mine. So today, I choose to. Lucy met Megan's eyes directly. I choose to forgive you, Mom. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I choose to succeed despite you, not because of you. And I choose to leave the past where it belongs, in the past. The parole board shifted, papers rustling. Mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Father stared straight ahead, seeing but not understanding, just like always. Harvard, Megan said suddenly. You got in. Lucy nodded once. I had dreams like that once. Something genuine flickered across Megan's face, regret, perhaps, or recognition of what she'd thrown away. I know, Lucy replied. The difference is, I'm actually going to achieve mine. We left before the board announced their decision. It didn't matter anymore. The real victory wasn't in Megan's punishment or my revenge. It was in the young woman walking beside me, head high, future bright. Back home, Lucy pinned her acceptance letter next to my old Harvard diploma. Think they have enough room in the economics department for another Crawford? They better. I smiled, watching her arrange the pins just so. Though technically, you're a Crawford Mills now. She turned, her expression serious. The adoption papers came through. I nodded. We'd filed them months ago, but the timing felt right to share now. If you want to sign them. Lucy launched herself into my arms, just like she had that first night in my penthouse. I've been your daughter since the day you chose me over revenge, she whispered. My phone buzzed again, Mother, persistent as ever. But this time, Lucy reached over and declined it for me. Some choices, she said wisely, you have to keep making every day. I looked at our reflection in the window, aunt and niece, guardian and ward, now mother and daughter. All by choice, not chance. Not revenge or obligation or guilt. The Harvard acceptance letter caught the late afternoon light, casting crimson shadows across our faces. Like blood, I thought, but also like sunrise. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply living well, loving fiercely, and letting go of the past one conscious choice at a time. Lucy smiled at our reflection, and I smiled back. We'd chosen well.